do, do. How are we doing? Oh, fucking hell, you guys went on a little bit of a spree there, didn't you? What the fuck? Jesus Christ, how many messages did you and Lava delete, Failure? What the hell? Jesus Christ, it's a wall! It's a whole wall of messages is gone! It fully takes up... What would it? It fully takes up the thingy. Jesus. That's funny. Anyway, how we doing? Hello, Dante. Oh, how is everyone doing? I am sore. My hands hurt. I should probably do a little bit of this. There we go. Why is the chat thingy not working? Meh, we'll figure out later. You're getting your bingo card ready. Oh lord, should I be prepared for whatever chapter 961 to probably about 970, 975 should be? If so, that's funny. Ooh, what did I do? Oh, that's what I did. Hello, Love King. I'm assuming you and Thalia were talking about spoilers before. Knowing if I scroll up, it's just... Message redacted, message redacted, message redacted, message deleted. It's just a fucking... It's a whole wall. Yeah, just Falcons. Oh, finally going to Falcon Scott. Or meeting who Falcon Scott is, or... I don't fucking know. I don't know why I'm pretending to know. I don't fucking know. Ugh. Yeah, just don't check those. I can't check those. Your mods, so when you delete your messages, I can't see them. The only messages I'll be able to see is failures. Which, why would I do that? Just a little chat, don't mind it? Don't worry. I'm not gonna do anything about it. But yeah, no. I spent a whole hour of my day, just fucking, like, bathing my cats. All 6 of them that were in the house. 7. Oh, 7 of them that were in the house. Zeus, Ophi, Helios, and Rhea. And then the Freakins. Because Snowball and Kai are going tomorrow. And believe it or not, that took a while. Especially the Mean Coon. Holy fuck, that took a bit. We were talking about Mordred's floor. Pretty sure we talked about Mordred's floor last stream as well. Hello, Steve. I have no idea how to pronounce that first little part of your name. I'm sorry. So I'm gonna just call you Steve. But yeah, did that. Damn near broke my legs in the gym. Yeah, I had to clean around pretty much that portion of my house when everyone was gone. And then I had to do shopping. So I'm just tired. I'm tired as hell. Hello, Noctis. Yes, we did. Yeah, I thought so. Summarized the... What did I summarize that flaw as? I summarized it as like, I think it's multiple personality disorder. Or something like that. Which seems about right for Mordred, frankly. My name is a German word for apple iced tea. Huh. Fair enough. Busy day, it seems. Busy day indeed. I also have to do more tests for my health. So I'm waiting for those to come in to go deliver the tests to doctors. For the doctors to then be like, yeah, you still kinda need to go hospital. Yeah, you still need to go. So that's gonna be fun. I will say though, those antibiotics work like a bitch, goddamn. Seems like everybody had a busy day. Probably. I'd assume so. I think Lava's in work right now. I just finished Lord of the Mysteries last night. Overall, 7.8 out of 10. I only have 5 cats, or I only have 5 cats. 5 to 6 cats or more is crazy. Yeah, and that's not even including like all the dogs and now the snake. Why do we have to have a snake? The fetus has returned. Fuck it. Now, Kirbs, when was the last time you joined the stream? Like, 5 streams ago? Last time you was in stream? It's good to have you back. Yo. He has arisen from his eternal slumber. Since Noctis is here, that reminds me, I need to talk to Eatsy about that Shadow Slave stream. Rating Lord of the Mysteries at 7.8 is crazy. Honestly, a 7.8 is probably what I've got like the first volume right now. I'm not gonna lie. 7.8, like 8. No, about like 7.5 to 7.8. Somewhere around there. My phone charger died. RIP. Josh, why on earth do you have a snake? How do I explain that one? So, one of my best friends killed themselves in 2021. And he had a snake. And his ma couldn't handle looking at it anymore. So, like 4 years later anyway. So she was trying to get rid of it. And George, my little brother's always wanted a snake. So we were like, yeah, we'll take it in. Shit scared of reptiles. I don't like reptiles. Don't like lizards. Don't like snakes. Never have. Never will. Right? At least when it comes to like being tangible creatures that I can touch. Fuck no. Not my vibe. So, no. So I may not like it, but kind of don't have a choice. My phone charger caused a blackout for my house. Gee, what kind of chargers do you people have? Kirbs might as well not have one. I think this is like the 8th charger he's gone through since joining these streams. It'd be higher, but holy fuck, I do hate Volume 5 and 6. That's like the opposite of like what I hear. Dude, your dad lore is insane. Oh, my dad lore is crazy. It's not even dad lore anymore. It's certifiable Big Brother lore. Or Big Brother lore. Since everybody treats me as the Big Brother. So, Hello, the update for the Mumble looks promising. It does. I've also had a sneak peek at other parts of it as well. And it's like, it looks way better. It looks way better. It's like my 3rd one, okay? It only dies every 4 months. That's still insane. People casually have EMPs in their house, apparently. Insane. I don't know how you hate book 5 and 6, the low-key peak. That's all I hear. I hear Lord of the Mysteries gets, like, exceptional by the time you get to Volume 4. Which is, like, yeah. Educated guess. 200 for the first volume. Probably about 1,200 chapters in. How long is Lord of the Mysteries? 1,800 chapters? $1,400 chapters, the longest fuck. So probably about 900 chapters, something like that. I could literally just look up what chapter is volume 4. Yeah, that's probably the smarter idea. $733. All right. What charges do you guys have? I've had mine for like 6 years before it died and caused a blackout. Yours died and it fucking... I think it was just like accumulating energy at that point. It just fucking blew up. Took out its pent-up energy in the house. But I've also had like... I've had this charger for... I don't know. 5 months now? Probably hasn't like another 4 months in it before I swap it out with something else. 1460 chapters. Yeah, 1460 chapters, and volume 4 is about 800 chapters deep. Yeah. Well, 733, we know that, but I have like 700 YT notifications. Fuck. Oh, fuck that. I hate when I get like 2 notifications, let alone 700. That's ludicrous. That is simply fucking silly. Anyway, what happened in the last Shadow Slave stream? We got to meet Goliath. We saw Sonny use his Shadow Manifestation. We got the CDM. We got the CDM. We saw Sonny die. If I had to take an educated guess, I'm probably saying with my full chest that the Sinisaurus is going to be an antagonist now. Like, just fully. But it's taken the form of Sonny. So I don't know how that would work. Unless it's going to be like a mental fuck kind of thing, and he only really gives it to Saint since it's not going to affect her. So he got ran over by a mountain. Yep, he got ran over by a mountain. Then we saw the Ebrus fields get destroyed. And everybody, for the most part, is still alive. Probably not for long, but they're still alive, and I'm thankful for that. And I've been on Volume 5 for so long, I'm kind of at a point where it's like, I really don't want any of them to die. Like, if Kim dies, I'll be upset. Kim, I want to live. Josh, you just have to wait for the Imps run back as one of the best fights in Shadow Slave, no bias. I fucking hope so. Because that fight was so good. That fight had no reason to be as good as it was. I wonder how tall is Goliath. I really want to see what it looks like in a Monwa. Are you live on Noctis Death? How much Volume 5 do you have left? Probably about 100 chapters or so. But by the time I get to... Honestly, probably after the stream, I'll probably carry on reading. And then get to 990 on my own. Just to then get to 1,000 on stream. And then I'm stopping doing that. I'll read live when I think it's convenient to read live. Or when any of you fuckers are like, Stop reading it by yourself. Read it at this point. Hi, Admiral. And yes, we did read Noctis's Death live. We did, what, 2 streams for the end of Volume 4? E.T. is not ready for Volume 4, by the way. I hopped in his live yesterday. To see his reaction for it. For the reaction of Volume 3. That was really funny. That was really, really funny. So, I don't think he's going to take Noctis's death that well, I'll be real. But again, speaking of which, I need to talk to him about the Shadow Slave live stream he wants to do. No, this is where it gets good. I imagine. At the very least, I hope so. And speaking of which, I feel like we should get that rolling now, shouldn't we? Get that rolling now. Don't read by yourself. Dog, if I carry on reading if I read all of Volume 5, bro's theory is crazy. Oh, are you talking about his theory about how the solar eclipse was the shadow god choosing Sunny? That was funny. That's a theory I don't think I could have ever came up with. It's a cool theory. It's a theory I fuck with. But knowing how this universe works, very funny. A very weird return. But yeah, if I read any more Volume 5 on stream, it will probably sully my taste for it. This is an objectively fantastic volume, by the way. I need to preface this now when I say that comment. I feel like because of so much of it I've read on stream, which is like, what, damn near 100% of the volume. Like, by the time we've been to Antarctica, I think I've read almost, like, it exclusively on stream. Hey, my little hair. Here's the eclipse to fuck over your chances of surviving the second nightmare. But this is definitely the second best volume. Definitely. I need to see how it ends. If Volume 5 ends, like, really fucking hype, then it might be the best volume. Yo, wanna know something? I found a load of the mysteries bot on Discord. Oh, Lord. The Shadow God is dead, he ain't choosing nothing. And the funny thing is, he should know that. He should more than fucking know that. And he still goes with that theory. Because, alright, people in his comments weren't spoiling anything, so I didn't really care. But, the second he said he's got a theory, and his entire chat was like, oh, Lord, here he goes. I was like, it can't be that crazy. And he says the eclipse one, I was like, okay. Okay. Again, I fuck with it. I think it's a very funny theory, but yeah. The owner of the Lord of Mysteries bought his son is trying to die or something. It's low-key crazy. What the fuck? Just wait for the third nightmare. I don't know when that is. I don't know when the third nightmare is going to be. I hope it's not in the Antarctic. I feel like that'd be a bit of a waste. Anyway, and to actually reading. Who is this guy, by the way? Itzy? Let's get his channel real quick for you. When Josh makes a fairy, we just sigh and lead him away from it because it's the correct direction. To be fair, when I look back at fairies and, you know, if G3 himself doesn't outright confirm it for me, I'm usually not super spot on. But it's this guy. This is Itzy. Igitsy. I don't know why I call him Itzy, but it's yeah, okay. You know him, he's great little content creator. Third nightmare starts at 12:31. Okay, yeah, so we got a long while then. That's good. Anyway, let's get into it. Chapter 961, Sandcastle. Back to modding almost immediately, huh? To be fair, chat's not, like, hilariously spoily for me recently. Especially last stream. Last stream, they were actually quite tame. Anyway. The dark skies were shrouded in a veil of slowly falling ash. Far below the mountain pass, illuminated by a foreboding red glow, a vast metropolis lays in ruins. The scattered buildings were drowning in rivers of lava, and a terrible what is this word? What? I don't know why I clicked that, I can't hear it. Conglagrif. Whoa, yeah, whatever the fuck that means. I know what it means, but yeah. Half of Josh's theories, and then the second half is whatever he's talking about. The first chapter and Josh can't speak. I have had a long day, okay? Leave me be. Was raging across the devastating line, devouring what little was left of the once thriving city. Above the scene of devastation, the dark shape of the Mount Ebrus was wrenched in smoke. A flood of molten rock was flowing down its slopes, glowing through the haze. The walls of the city were breached. The uncountable hordes of nightmare creatures were prowling in the ruins, some bathing in the flames and some avoiding it. Looking down with a dead expression on his pale, tired face, Sonny found himself momentarily unable to feel anything. It doesn't make any sense. The Ebrus Field had been one of the most prominent cities in the Antarctica, famous for its geothermal energy farms, fertile soil, and warmth. It could have been home to tens of millions of people even before becoming an evacuation center. The local government branch was supposed to have a volcano well under control. Even if all the safety systems they had in place were to suffer a cataclysmic failure, the city had possessed formidable fortifications long before they had converted into a siege capital. Well, those in places at a whole division of the First Army working on reinforcing the defensive infrastructure, as well as the presence of hundreds of awakened and more than a few masters, the Ebrus Field simply could not succumb to something as mundane as a volcanic eruption. How did this happen? Sonny was supposed to guide the convoy to this stronghold, deliver the refugees to the authorities, rendezvous with Davis and his cohort of irregulars, and then resume acting in his usual capacity as captain of a fast response combat unit. Instead, the city was gone. Davis and his people were nowhere to be found, and the responsibility of caring for the convoy and the defense of civilians was still pressing heavily on his shoulders. If anything, that weight had only become more burdensome. He is at his wit's end. With a sigh, Sonny rubbed his face and then sat down on the nearby boulder. His eyes were still glued to the horrible scene below. He was simply unable to look away. The members of the cohort stood awkwardly around him, keeping silent. Sonny remembered that he was meant to be projecting an image of confidence as a leader, but he was too rattled by anger to care. After a while, Bell cleared his throat. "We're awaiting your orders, sir." Quentin glanced at the swordsman, roachfully inside. "None of us know what to do. The mood among the civilians is already pretty dark, as well. Everyone is a bit shaken, I think. We did check the maps, though. The next siege capital is northeast of here, over the mountains, about 300 kilometers away. Miss Beth and Professor Obel are currently searching for a good route." Sonny silently shook his head. "There's no point. The siege capitals seem to be crumbling like sandcastles these days. Who's to say the next one would... Oh my god. Who's to say that the next one will still be there by the time we arrive? If we even make it." The irregulars glanced at each other with an uncomfortable expression. After a poignant pause, Kim asked, What do we do then, sir?" Sonny let out a heavy sigh, then looked north. After a few moments of silence, he said, "Go to Falcon Scott. That's our best hope. Even if all other siege capitals fall, it will stand. It's the most fortified, and the First Army's presence is the strongest there. Most importantly, that's where St. Tyrus is. As long as she is defending the north, we'll be safe there." Sonny didn't want to add that if something capable of taking Skytide out appeared, all of them would be better off committing suicide. Once the Saints started to die, mortals like them had no hope of making it out, really. Unless you're Sonny, of course. No. Because I've already bought these chapters. I've bought these chapters. I've bought up to... How many chapters have I bought? 11. I've bought up to 1100. Or something like that. So it should be good. You didn't know I did read-throughs? That's pretty much the vast majority of this channel. At this point, it's like reading through manga, manhwa, and web novels at this point. Also, hi random. Cannot say, what? Wasn't trying to ignore you, I was just reading. Unlikely event to be good or bad, or drowned by your presence. He also did not mention that there was another 2,000 kilometers between them and Falcon Scott, twice as much as they had barely survived to get to Ebers Fields from LO49. Everyone already knew that, since the cohort had started this damn campaign at the distant North Stronghold. Returning to Falcon Scott would complete the calamitous circle. Granted, the situation would be slightly different as they moved further north, since they were the first army and had established their presence. The territories between Ebers Fields and Falcon Scott were far better enhanced than the desolate regions of the south, where the army had come to last. There would be an established evacuation corridor, or at least remnants of them. Supply depots, fortified outposts, well-maintained roads, perhaps even meet friendly forces on the way. Come to think of it, I should probably contact the army command as soon as possible to get detailed information about the big picture. The timing would be tricky since the convoy was currently in a dire situation, with numerous nightmare creatures flooding the area. Sending even one of the irregular into the dream world would diminish their ability to defend themselves, but it was better than remaining blind. His people needed sleep, anyway. Sonny lingered for a few moments and then said, "Leave me for a bit, I need to think. Oh, make sure that the transports are ready to move, as they can be, while you're at it." He doubted that it would be safe to remain near the fallen city for long. The irregulars nodded, then backed off and headed towards the convoy's temporary camp. Left alone, Sonny forced himself to look away from the ruins of the Ebers Fields and stare up at the sky, which was dark and obscured by a cloud of ash. Damn it. The 3 remaining civilian transports were overloaded and on the verge of irreconcilable breakdown. That's not that word, but yeah. Military vehicles should still be operational, but Sergeant Game would probably run out of ammunition by now. What the hell am I supposed to do? As Sonny watched the sky, a black dot appeared above him. At first, he thought it was another flake of ash, but the dot moved too swiftly to be one. It dove down, slowly growing as it drew closer. Oh my fucking god. What is this? A few seconds later, a black bird landed on the rock near him. It had glossy black feathers, smart round eyes, a sharp beak that reminded him of the spire messenger with a mild surprise. Sonny recognized it as a crow. He knew that at least birds were a little bit less extinct than mammals, so even though they were a rare sight in the outskirts, there were some. They usually did not last long though. However, why is there a crow in Antarctica? Just as he thought it, the crow opened its beak and gnawed. Its gnaws sounded terrible like words. Siha! Sani. What the fuck? Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. You're up there. Sonny? What's it? The Reaper's crow. This is Jet's crow? What the fuck? The goat his ear? Oh, it's the crow. No, that's a dog? Well, no, dogs have shells. Come on now. Fated is probably the best mechanic in the entire story. Yeah, it's probably the single best plot device that I've probably ever read, really. It's like the best excuse for a character to be lucky and unlucky at the same time. It's really funny. How funny would it have been if it was Kai? I'm not kidding. A small part of my subconscious was like, please let this be Kai. Please let this be Kyle. Give Sonny anything. This boy had just fucking died. And almost died again. Thanks to a fucking imp. Which is probably like 9 feet tall now because it's got Weaver and Shadow God DNA in him. Plot the attribute. Yeah. But it makes perfect sense. Anyway, chapter 962. Reaper's Crow. As soon as the crow appeared, Sonny was ready to kill it. Summoning the Moonlight Shard would only take a split second, as a swift strike of his armored fist would also do the job just as well. If it was an ordinary bird, of course, which he seriously doubted, he did not expect the crow to speak, though. Sonny! Sonny! Is it calling my name? Sonny temporarily postponed his plans on killing the crow and stared at it for a bit. The crow tilted its head and stared back. Sonny! He blinked, then shifted his vision to look into the bird's soul. Sonny expected to see an orb of a repulsive darkness, but what he saw instead was 2 radiant claws. The crow was an awakened monster. However, it was not a nightmare creature. Is it an echo, or am I losing my mind again? He hesitated for a little while, and then he said cautiously, Yes, I am Sonny. The bird jumped closer with a satisfied look, shook its entire body to rid the flakes of ash clinging to the feathers, and then crowed again. Jet! Jet! Hey, it is Jet! Fuck yeah! A spark of hope ignited in Sonny's heart. He studied the crow some more and then leaned close and whispered, Did Master Jet send you? The small monster bobbed its head up and down several times. Jet! Send! Sonny closed his eyes for a moment, inhaling deeply. You're in an ashy mountainside, brother. Don't do that. So she did not forget about me after all. Huh. You're like her favorite fucking person. Why would Jet forget about you? What? That's a silly comment, brother. You're like her little brother to a fucking T. The imp is probably slightly shorter than Sonny. The imp was shorter than Sonny in the first round, but it did consume a fair bit of Sonny. And if it gets bigger and stronger the more it consumes, then I imagine it gets a little bit bigger. The crow being the same class rank as the Centaurian is hilarious. Oh, don't fucking say that. Don't say that. The power glyphing is insane. I'm sorry, you have an ELO of 470? What the fuck? I knew you were good, but not... You know what? Fair enough. Unless this is a new account that you're playing with. Because Sonny was able to grapple it. The crow appeared to be Soul Reaper's echo, which she had sent to find Sonny. It felt nice to be remembered. However, he was not sure how the blackbird was supposed to help him, if it was Jet's intention at all. It was simply a messenger to deliver new orders, someone to guide him to Davis and guide him to Davis and his cohort of elite assassins. He hesitated for a moment. Why did Master Jet send you to find me? The small monster jumped a couple times. Crow, help! So it was not just a messenger. The echo was sent to assist him somehow. Sonny tried to not get too excited. How are you going to help me? Are you going to lead me to Davis? The blackbird silently shook its head, making Sonny frown. Why not? The crow tilted its head. Davis, dead. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Ma! Real Lava King, you're real. Sonny let out a heavy sigh. So, pride was gone. His men probably hadn't made it out to Eber's fields either, so he did not know the Cold Man too well. But a loss of a full cohort of irregulars still hit him hard. Oh, right, yeah, I forgot. I completely blanked out the idea that there are more awakened or more masters in charge of the irregular. I completely blanked out that idea, other than what's-her-face, the one with the bow and arrow. That's OP. Not to mention that Sonny's hope of linking up with other powerful masters was crushed. From what he knew, that was the first serious first serious casualty the irregulars have suffered from the start of the campaign. His information was outdated, though. Who's to say that any of them are still alive? The irregulars, and especially their captains, were elites among elites. But with how unreasonably dreadful the chain of nightmares was turning out to be, at least in the Antarctic Center, there was no guarantees. Hell, he himself had just died a few hours ago. At least Soul Reaper was out there. Somewhere. A dead grimace appeared on Sonny's face. Looking back at the small bird, he asked in a dubious tone. How are you supposed to help me, then? The bird flapped its wings. Crow, show! Sonny frowned. Show what? The bird stared at him for a few moments and then gnawed again. Crow, show. And then it added. Sonny, follow. It wants me to follow it? He did not trust too much the way a may awaken monster's abilities, but if Master Jet had sent it, then it had to be a good reason. In any case, Sonny did not have too many choices. Although he did not want to think it out loud, the convoy situation was more or less hopeless. With failing vehicles and a notion of nightmare creatures surrounding them, the chances that he would be able to keep the refugees alive were not too high. Sonny sighed and then nodded. Alright, we'll follow you. Just give me a bit of time to get my people on the road. The crow stared at him for a bit and then flapped its wings again. Hurry! You don't need to remind me. Oh, for fuck's sake, what's going on with Master Jeff and the bird to be like, hurry? More specifically, gooners of Jet. By the way, do you guys goon to nightmare creatures? Unless it's Sylvain, no. Also, there's like no nightmare creature to do that to. Asking Nat after seeing a crow is a strange one. I mean, he does have Noctis as his profile picture. I'm not surprised of anything that's strange coming out of his mouth. No offense, Noctis. The crow is just excited. Is Saint on that list? Would Saint classify as a nightmare creature now? I classify it as a shadow. As like a glorified echo. Instead of Rick and 2 crow, it's Sonny and 1 crow. I don't get that reference. Anyway. Did I just shrink the thingy? I did, but you didn't notice it. Standing up, Sonny descended towards the convoy's camp and ordered everyone to prepare for departure soon. The columns of vehicles left its temporary shelter and followed a narrow mountain road that circled the former Ibris fields from a good distance. The crow flew above them, guiding the convoy deeper into the mountains. The bird had turned out to be an amazing scout. Not only was it able to notice swarms of nightmare creatures from high above long before they could threaten the column, but it was also smart enough to lead Sonny and his people around the prowling abominations. After about an hour of tense but uneventful driving, they left the site of the destroyed city behind. The scene of devastation was now obscured by the slopes and peaks, but the plume of smoke rising from the crater of Mount Ibris and the angry orange glow of the burning stronghold could still be seen. The crow guided the convoy to a wide crossroad and then dove down, landing near a small structure standing at the side of it. The convoy came to a halt, the civilian transports looking like they might not be able to get their engines running again. Sparing an uneasy glance, Sonny jumped down from the roof of the Rhino and approached the structure. It seemed fleshy built, but it was most likely constructed by the First Army just a month or two ago. Freshly built. Fleshy. It seemed freshly built, and it was more than likely constructed by the First Army just a month or two ago. He had no idea what the purpose was, though. Uncertain, Sonny glanced at the black bird and looked very proud of itself. What am I supposed to do with that? Sonny tilted its head. Door open. Oh. Despite its small size, the structure and actual blast doors blocking the entrance, the gate was large enough to be rammed by the Rhino. But of course, Sonny was not going to order Luster to do something that stupid. He briefly thought of cutting through the blast door with the cruel sight, but then shook his head and rolled his eyes. Walking over to the small panel on the side of the gate and placed his palm on it, the panels lifted open, and then a mechanical voice came from an inbuilt dynamic. Captain Sunless. Verified significant clearance. Significant clearance? Oh, sufficient clearance. The blast doors opened, revealing the entrance to a wide tunnel. Oh, hell no. That is a very valid reaction, Sonny. After going through the mountain range, literally not a hint of me is even upset about that reaction. Sonny remained motionless for a while, cursing his fate, then reluctantly sent one of his shadows into the tunnel. Despite his newly established evasion to tunnels of all kind, that one turned out to be rather short, leading to the vast underground chamber. It was rectangular in shape, large enough for several convoys the size of the one Sonny was leading to take shelter inside. It was a hidden supply depot, a big one. Sonny opened his eyes. Sonny's eyes widened. Inside the underground garage, rows and rows of pristine military vehicles stood, ready to be powered up and armored with full complicated and heavy assault vehicles. Ooh, shit! Jet really on him. Jet really coming out of nowhere to help him out here. That's our girl. We love to see it. We love to see it. Hi, Hosh. My internet's having a stroke. Don't worry, that's just me. Rightfully, though. Come on. The first real tunnel he trusted in, he was stuck in an infinite loop in where darkness, like literal darkness, was chasing him down like insects. Like, brother, I would be untrustworthy of it. Convoy getting an upgrade. Amen. What's this called? Supply depot? Fuck yeah. Nah, you're not late. We're about 2 chapters in. Jet playing Army High Command Sugar Mommy. Amen, amen. As she should. Jet knows her place. Anyway, chapter 963, Supply Depot. Sonny remained motionless for a while, until eventually there was a sound of footsteps approaching him. Turning around, he looked at Sergeant Gein with a blank expression. The soldier tensed, habitually expecting a dreadful news. What's in there? Sonny lingered for a bit, then simply shook his head. Order the convoy to drive inside. You'll see soon enough. Before too long, the column of battered vehicles drove past him, disappearing into the dark tunnel. Once they were all inside, Sonny glanced at the falling ash one last time, then walked into the darkness himself. The blast doors closed behind him with a reverberating hum, cutting off the bitter cold and the chilling wind of the polar night. Just before the two plates of armored alloy touched, Master Jet's crow flew between them and landed on Sonny's shoulder. The bird glanced into the tunnel with curiosity, then stared at him and crowed a couple of times. For a change, they were just simple crows, and not mangled words of a human language. A pale smile appeared on Sonny's face. Yeah, good job. He's appreciating the bird. Not for long, but he's appreciating the bird now. Acting like we all don't goon the Jet, brother, go on my Discord. In the Discord. Just look at the 18+ section. You don't even need to do that. Just go to the Shadow Slave section and press on, like, the images. There's plenty. With that, he walked down the tunnel, soon reaching the underground garage. The convoy was parked in an empty corner of the vast chamber. The excited soldiers were already moving around the pristine military vehicles, evaluating their state. Someone else was busy opening alloy crates, and they were stacked along one of the walls, full of all kinds of supplies. The teapot was brightly illuminated by powerful light fixtures, which had come online as soon as Sonny opened the gate using his command authority. The ventilation systems were also online, filling the underground space with a familiar calming smell of the artificial clean air. Sonny breathed in deeply and waited for Sergeant Gein to approach him. So, how is it? The soldier smiled, which made Sonny realize that he had never seen the dependable sergeant do that before. Oh, don't do that. Morgan goons took high, but I can't prove it. I mean, I've seen the art. I know she does. Kaigen is crazy. Hey, I've done my fair bit of research. I know. I know. It's nothing short of amazing, sir. This is a divisional this is a divisional field resupply station. From what I can tell, it's meant to replenish the extended resources of the entire divisions between battles. If there's no convoy opportunity to reach the fortified stronghold, or if there is a supply line or cut, there's enough here to support the deployment of thousands of soldiers. Kaigan is the only right answer. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Everyone goons to Kai. Not gonna lie, even Sonny. Sonny's the first one to do it. Lie. Nephis is the first one to do it. And then it was Sonny. And now Kai does it to Sonny. Everyone in verse goons to Kai, don't blame them. Well, yeah, he's a fucking pop idol. In researching, looking at those Gooner fanfics. No, in research as in finding any fucking art for Volume 3. What part of the story is this? I locally forgot how Ontaga plays out. Is it the tunnel and Goliath? Yeah. I just remember like a whole 50 chapters of just traveling and fighting. Oh, so like the beginning of Antarctica. Sonny's the only one in verse who has the privilege to goon with Kai. No, the first was Nephis, then Cassie, then Effie, then Sonny. Yeah. Yeah, if I had to take a guess, it's probably that order. He paused for a moment and pointed out the row of vehicles. We have not assessed the full inventory yet, but you can already see that this is far more than we need. There are different types of machines, too, from armored personal carriers to assault vehicles and light scouts. Hell, there's even a dozen MWPs here. There's enough ammunition to load all of the armaments. Sonny glanced at the towering shapes of the mobile war platform standing near the back hall. These giant humanoid robots were about 6 meters tall, on the smaller side compared to the large cousins that still packed a heavy punch. I completely forgot. We have the exoskeletons from Avatar in this journey. I completely forgot about that. We would love to see Crow X Vile Thieving Bird shot thick over Sunfish Slice of Life thick. Just saying. What? They're playing with each other's joysticks? Okay. Okay. Oh my days. Jesus Christ. Samira's powerful rifle had been meant to serve as a light weapon for these formidable machines, but it was later refitted to be used as an awakened sharpshooter. The presence of the MWPs was a pleasant surprise. Mundane soldiers were somewhat capable of facing dormant nightmare creatures, but had trouble dealing with the awakened ones. Even with the help of the exoskeleton armor suits, the fierce arsenal of guns and launchers installed on the war platforms, however, made them destructive enough to accomplish that task. There was just one problem. Sonny gave Sergeant Gain a dubious look. Do we even know anyone capable of piloting these? The soldier coughed awkwardly and scratched the back of his head. No, not really. He remained silent for a few moments and then smiled again. Still, there's also ammunition for our turrets, as well as food, medicine, spare fuel cells, necessities. Basically all that the refugees need. We can even arm them all, if that's what you want to do. Those vehicles that can drive are much faster than the civilian transports too, have better armor, and they can navigate more difficult terrain. Not to mention that there's more of them than we could possibly use, or or everything, really. The infrastructure between here and Falcon Scott is also much better developed, so I think both our speed and defensive capabilities are going to increase tremendously. Sonny nodded, then glanced briefly at the Crow, who had left his shoulder and was now preaching on one of the beams of the support framework near the ceiling of the depot, looking down on the hustling humans with a curious expression. Good. We'll be staying here for a couple of days to let the people rest and give us time to get antiquated with all these shiny new toys. Make sure that everybody has warm meals and a comfortable place to sleep. With that, he left Geem to figure out the logistics of settling in hundreds of refugees in an underground storage bunker that was not really meant to be used for such a purpose. And tiredly walked towards the Rhino. There were many robust vehicles in the supply depot, but he did not see anything that could compare to his personal ride. The fearsome APC was still the best one there. Gee, I fucking wonder why, Sonny. I need some rest myself. Climbing inside the Rhino, he exchanged a few words with Professor Roble and then told Luster to figure out a sleep schedule between the irregulars and bring himself some news from the Dream Realm by the morning, or whenever he was going to wake up. Then Sonny took off his military coat and dismissed the mantle of the underworld, which he had been hiding beneath. At that moment, Beth was approaching him to say something, but lingered after noticing the dried blood and sealing patches glued to his skin. She paled a little bit, remaining silent for a few moments and then forced out an unconvincingly sarcastic remark. So, you do bleed after all. Sonny looked down at his battered body and smiled. Only on special occasions. With that, he turned away, climbed into the sleeping niche, and closed his eyes in an utter exhaustion. That was a long, dreadful, utterly terrible day. In the end, of a positive note, though, that, at least, was something to be thankful about. Like, fuck off, G3. You're not even trying to hide the fact you kind of want people to fuck with this. And congratulations, I am people, I do fuck with this. I fuck with Beth and Sonny. But hey, at least we're in a calm period. Thank fuck for that. When was the last time we had a calm period? I'm being so genuinely serious. When was the last time we've had a calm period? I heard something entirely different from Sealing. I don't even know what the... I don't even know you make edits, man. Is having me as a commander now a badge of honor? You're Loki just on every single web novel video. Yeah, it's Loki crazy. My dirty mind. They have goldfish memory for real. They read about flying cars and trains armed with cannons and old world wars with nuclear and chemical weapons, yet they still think it isn't the future. We get told verbatim this is about 300 years after, like, a major catastrophic war. To be specific, like, a chemical war. If you commented, then that means, I'm somewhat known in the Shadow Slave edits. I don't see any Shadow Slave edits. Not on YouTube. I do on TikTok. I see a lot on TikTok, but that's like 99% of the time I'm usually like reposting a lot of shit. Whether it be... Ooh, fucking hell. Whether it be, Keegan, Bacon, Zaltron, what have you. A couple of my, just general good friends. I see a lot of edits. I see a lot of edits, generally. Sonny getting sleep is a rare occasion at this point. Yeah, no, this is a lot for Sonny, frankly. He needed this. The closest he got to sleep was actually fucking dying. I only have like 30 followers on TikTok, lol. I only do good on YouTube. I'm doing good on both so far, thankfully. But I spread my content wide. I see a lot of edits on Instagram. Thankfully, I don't. Even though me and Kai follow each other, it's thankfully I don't see a lot of Shadow Slave edits on there. Anyway, chapter 964, Proof of Competence. Is Sonny finally gonna feel himself a little bit? After being able to say, hey, we got there. Hey, what the fuck? Why are likes hearts? Oh, because YouTube's trying the fucking hardest to remove the dislike button. They're trying the hardest to remove the dislike button, which isn't working, because no one likes it. Wow, you were away for a long time. Yeah, no. It's clear he's been away for a long time. This has been a thing for the last, like, 2 weeks on YouTube. My Instagram is mostly Shadowslave and John Rod at the moment. John Rod is my favorite fucking JoJo's meme right now. Oh my fucking god. I need to know the name of this stand. So fucking bad. And I low-key wanted to be called Slim Shady. I low-key needed to be called Slim Shady because that's funny. They don't have dislikes on shorts. Exactly. They're trying to slowly integrate it out the fucking system, which I can tell you is catastrophic for everybody. It is catastrophic for the viewers. It is catastrophic for the actual creators themselves. It is a astronomically stupid fucking idea to remove the dislike button on any platform. Any fucking platform. The John memes are so random. Have you seen John Rod versus the John Universe? Like the animation of that, it's so fucking good. It has no reason to be like that. Who would win, John Rod or John Bun? I have to give it to John Rod. YouTube hates everything that would put them on the map if it isn't like a TikTok format. Yeah, pretty much. John Kirbs when? I like Josh over John, preferably. FYI, Quibs, don't check Josh's recent shorts for no specific reason. What shorts have I posted and where Quibs shouldn't check them out? Unless you're talking about my Lord of the Mysteries one. I can't wait for John Rod to be animated in like 30 years. It's probably going to take longer than that, let's be fucking real. With how Part 7's being released? 4 years for a whole part to be released? I think we'll be done with Part 2. Part 2 of... Act 2 of Part 9 by the time Part 7 is done animated. Anyway. Shockingly, nothing disastrous happened while Sunny slept. A gate did not open in the middle of the supply depots, and the Stray Titan did not break through the blast door to devour every last person under his protection. Somehow, the world did not collapse. Instead, Sunny woke up to the sound and peaceful conversation and the smell of cooking food. He remained still for a few minutes, then climbed out of the sleeping niche, checked his healing wounds, and summoned the puppet shroud to cover his bruised body. In the lounge area of the Rhino, several members of his cohort were eating a hearty breakfast. Surprisingly, Professor Roble was the one cooking, masterfully using the rations scavenged from the depot supplies to create something that smelled unexpectedly tasty. Walking closer, Sunny heard Luster speaking with a surprising enthusiasm. Amazing! How did you even make this? The old man chuckled. Food was much more scarce during my youth than it is now. Ancient relics like me know how to make a feast out of nothing, young man. Oh, that's tragic. That's tragic. Is this hate on Lord of the Mysteries? No, I posted a fairy video on Lord of the Mysteries. That was it. The Avatar game came out. Have you heard the shit that came out about it, though? Holy shit. It's a shit show. No, I might have spoiled him on something. Oh, yes, you did. Yeah, I forgot. I completely forgot about that. What happened in the story? What's happened in the story right now? Sunny got killed. He met up with his old crew. Eber's fields are destroyed. Jet sent over her crow to Sunny. What was spoiled? What was it? Effie fucking the Nameless awakened. Or the Nameless Sleeper. That being failure, that being funny is my only saving grace. Yeah. Paramount screwed them. Paramount done screwed them. It fucked them raw several times over. That's what that did. I had nothing to do with that, I swear. Bro missed the best joke. Yeah, I think he was in that stream, Harsh. Anyway. Noticing Sonny, Luster pointed to his plate. Captain, you have to try it. He stuffed his mouth with something that looked like vegetable lasagna. Which was rather strange, considering that military rations did not include fresh vegetables. And smiled. Oh, and we also flushed with fresh water again. The shower is back online. That was a piece of surprisingly good news. The Rhino was very robust. The Rhino had a very robust water filtration system, but they had started rationing it many days ago. The thought of actual hot water made Sonny smile. The idea of Sonny smiling at water is really funny. He sat down curiously, tasted Professor Opal's cooking. It was, indeed, rather delicious. Noticing his reaction, the old man chuckled. Everything pop slop. That's what we used to call it. That's what we used to call this Frankenstein of a dish back in my day. Changed many times, but some things always remain the same. Sonny stared at his plate and then frowned. What's a Frankenstein? Oh no! His endurance is basically his own feat. I mean, yeah. Yep. I forgot that's what that joke led to. Oh, he has an even better feat coming? Oh, Lord. Anyway, this hurts my soul. Did I ever put Frankenstein in the story tier list? I don't think I did. It'd be in the 9. It'd be in the 9s out of 10. Professor Robo looked at him with an amused look. Well, it's a fictional monster. A sort of jigsaw corpse reanimated by a troubled scientist. Actually, perhaps it was the scientist who was the monster. Sonny gave him an understanding nod. Ah, I see. A jigsaw corpse. I think I fought one of those before. Although it was more of a mountain of bones. I guess you could make a bone broth out of that. The professor is really being too harsh on himself. His cooking does not taste like a corpse of meat at all. I should know. Ignoring the strange glance directed at him, Sonny shrugged and concentrated on his food. The first shift of the irregulars sent into the Dream Realm was not back yet, so there was nothing pressing for him to do. Sonny finished his meal in peace, then chatted with the men for a bit. One after another, they left to resume their work on preparing the convoy for the eventual departure. Beth was probably dealing with the refugees, so she was nowhere to be seen. That left Sonny and Professor Orwell with each other. Yes! There we go. He finally saw it. All this one shot talking about a nameless sleeper. There you go. He found it. G3 made him the self-inserted. Yeah. I don't think I put that in the thingy, but yeah. What's happening? Go watch that video. The video you're specifically talking about, the nameless sleeper. Go watch it. Come back. I mean, what were the mods even doing? Lava was the only mod. Lava was the only mod. You got modded that day. The old man studied his face for a few moments, and then suddenly asked, "How you holding up, Captain Sunless?" Sonny looked at him in confusion. "Me? Fine. I guess." Yeah, I didn't spoil the part about... Damn, I almost did it again. God damn. Professor Opal sighed. It must be hard, especially for someone so young in this dire situation. You're in a responsibility for the well-being of hundreds of people. But there is also no one caring for your own wellness. So, that's why I asked you. How are you? Really? Sunny wanted to retort, but thought for a while, then shrugged. Actually, it's a bit strange. Everyone here is fighting tooth and nail to survive. Most of them have no control over whether they live or die. Every minute might be their last, and that's all they know, too. But not me. I'm more or less safe. Unless I actively try to do something stupid, I will most likely survive, even if the whole convoy is obliterated. My aspect makes it really easy for me to escape the most dangerous most dangers, you know? He hesitated and then added with some uncertainty. So the mental strain that I experienced should be the mental strain that I experienced should be far less than that of all the vulnerable people. But for some reason, it does not feel that way. I should not really care how strangers die around me, but I do. It's like a mental hex, really. Me caring? Actually, it's exactly like that. But especially because I do find myself doing stupid things to prevent them from dying. Sunny frowned. Wait, am I not really under a hex that compels me to defend this damn convoy, am I? Professor Roble suddenly laughed. A mental hex? That's a very unique way to put it. It isn't normal for people to care about each other? Sunny blinked a couple of times. No, of course not. So many mods now. Wait, did Failure get demoted? No. I don't think Failure's ever been mod. I think Failure is like the next one most likely to be mod, though. Probably. I don't know what y'all talk about. Those spoilers. What? It says it in the say it in the spoiler Shadow Slave channel. Stop putting dots in the chat, or Josh might find out how the gods die before Volume 4. Okay. Calling emphasis on mental hex is hilarious. Did I step into an alternate timeline? I don't know. Since when was Failure not mod? Failure has never been a mod. It's you, it's Arlen, it's Admiral, it's Harsh, and it's Lava King. You guys are my 5 mods. Me and Wagon are up next. Yeah, it's lit. I said this a couple streams ago. If there's gonna be 2 more mods, it will probably be Random and Failure, because all 5 of you are usually in my chat. And 9 times out of 10, pretty good at keeping me from getting spoiled. Anyway. He shook his head and then added with a slight bewilderment. No one's ever cared about me until I became powerful and thus useful. That's just how things work. Sunny had been alone for most of his life. True, after becoming infected by the spell, he had made several good friends, but he had no illusions about the reason for the bonds between them. If he had been someone weak and useless, people like Effie, Kai, even Nephis and Cassie would have never wasted the time on becoming close with him. I call bullshit. I call specifically bullshit on this. Because Kai is right there, and Kai was unarguably, the weakest in the Forgotten Shore. We should come up with an initiation ceremony for new mods. Would have been Sept with Wagon on my mind. Yeah, apparently. I think he needs sleep. I've been sleeping for 9 hours. Wow. Good job. He's getting an average amount of sleep for the human body to be successful. Kai would be best buds with Sunny regardless. If his flow was the same, yes, absolutely. Cassie is weaker than Kai during the Forgotten Shore, but yeah. Cassie's weaker. She's still a fucking oracle, though. Without Cassie, they would have never been able to traverse through the underground passage to go get the crown for Nephis. Without Cassie, they wouldn't have been able to understand what is going to forcome throughout the entirety of the Forgotten Shore. Cassie had her means to be very useful. But if we're talking straight fucking combat, Kai is the weakest one there. And Kai got probably the biggest boost from how he was as a sleeper because of Sunny. And that's because of Sunny giving him the fucking blood arrow. Also, we've had a whole conversation about this. Like, Cassie is incredibly useful because she is an oracle, but we had a whole fucking, like, portion of an old stream in where we ranked everybody and we mutually agreed that Kai is definitely the weakest next to Cassie in the Forgotten Shore. To be fair, it's not power that made Kai like Sunny, it is honesty. Yeah, it's the entire idea that Sunny simply cannot lie that Kai really liked. Also, Sunny is a hilarious individual. Brother, Kai survived a week alone in the Forgotten Shore, Josh. Yeah, after he became astronomically stronger. Also, you could be way more annoying with that. Because you can just say, Effie survived 2 years in the Forgotten Shore. Nothing happened. Well, bear in mind her old cohort dying. And then, you know, fucking Kai also survived a year in the Forgotten Shore too. And why should they? Well, there was Rain too, but that was different. She was family, not a random stranger. Professor Opal let out a sad sigh and remained silent for a while. Eventually, he asked, "So, why do you think you care about whether the refugees and the mundane soldiers survive? Why are you risking yourself to help them?" Sonny scratched the back of his head. That I'm actually not sure myself, but maybe it's pride. These people are under my protection, so their deaths would demonstrate my incompetence. Makes sense. It is weird, though. I really never claimed to have something as useless as pride. Fuck off! Fuck! You're the, like, most prideful cunt I have ever met. Shut the what the fuck? No, bollocks! So, the old man looked at him with a strange expression, then shook his head. Do you want to know what I think? Sonny raised an eyebrow. Yes. Professor Opal smiled. I think you're giving yourself a little too little credit, young man. Oh, it's the whole Effie conversation all over again. Sonny stared at him with confusion. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? The old man chuckled. Don't mind me, it's just an old man's rumbling. Maybe you'll understand when you're my age. Until then, please keep caring for those poor people. Stupid as it may seem, there is one truth that I've learned after long decades, you see. Humanity would have never survived without a little bit of stupidity. Amen. It takes a dumb man to learn the worth. I can't spell Effie. With how many times I've spelled out Effie's name, I should be able to type that shit backwards and forwards. Sonny's the biggest hypocrite in the world. 2 worlds, even. Yeah, exactly. The 2 most prideful people I have ever met in this story is Sonny, and it's Noctis. Noctis is definitely number 1. Noctis is the most cocky prick I have ever met in my goddamn life in this story. Noctis is definitely high up there. Yeah, Noctis. What? Noctis is satire? Noctis is not satire. He said he's gonna kill a bitch. He killed a bitch. He said he's gonna cripple you. He's gonna cripple you. When Noctis speaks, he says every word with confidence, and he knows it. He's been alive for 1,000 years. He understands that. I don't like rice, though. You don't like rice? What the fuck? You don't like rice? All my pens just fell out of the fucking place. God damn it. That's a weird one. Not liking rice is crazy work. Nephis is also pretty confident. But hers is more of a facade, if anything. That's like actual delusions. So is Sunny. Sunny's his delusions, but he proves it. Same with Nephis. It's Noctis, Sunny, and Nephis. Those three are the most prideful people I've met. Isn't Nephis more prideful than Sunny? Like, more prideful than Noctis? I would still say no, because Noctis can prove everything he does. Nephis says it, and then has to try and back it up. Noctis says it, and then does back it up. There is a difference in confidence in that one. Rice is so good. Bagged Rice is mid, though. True that. Bagged Rice is mid as fuck. Low-key, Effie is the least likable in the cohort. We'll do a likable character tier list inevitably. Like, again. Like, the more I know about these characters, we will do it again. Anyway. I didn't update the thingy, did I? Nope. Chapter 965. New plan. She's just a delusional abomination. Dirty Nephilim. Ah, there's the blatant racism. There it is. There's the thing that makes me think I'm on kick. Isn't Mordred hella prideful too? He is. All three divine aspect wielders are prideful. Rightfully fucking so. But how old's Mordred? Mordred's like almost 30. And he's like the youngest awakened we've met so far. So, yeah, I guess the pride could be a little bit deserved in his case. There's the quips we know. Yep. Mordred is most prideful. Who would ever like such a dirty thing? I don't know, maybe our fucking protagonist? Also me, I fucking love Nephis. Nephis is great. Anyway. The news Sunny's people brought from the Dream Realm was both disturbing and ominous. There was a wealth of updates in the state of affairs in Antarctica, but all was overshadowed by one simple fact. The Army Command was seemingly unaware that Eber's field had been wiped off the map. They knew that something had happened, but it was the members of the cohort who had brought the first-hand account of the devastation to the Dream Realm, prompting an intense reaction. It did not bode well for Sunny. Either the siege capital had been destroyed very recently, or the First Army was much worse shape than he had thought. In any case, the situation meant that the validity of the information received from the Army Command had to be taken with a grain of salt from now on. Things were changing too fast for the compromised communication network to keep up. It was just as well he had already decided to proceed with Falcon Scott, bypassing the less impregnable siege capitals. It was going to be the inevitable destination regardless. That much was clear. It seemed that the situation in East Antarctica was not as dire as the utter disdain of the Antarctic Center, which had much fewer soldiers and less resources allocated to it due to the smaller territory and population. But it was being hit by a chain of nightmares much harder for some reason. As a result, the previous plan was scrapped. The hostility replaced with a new one. The incoming naval convoy was going to be redacted to start referring the civilian population, and the the army contingent over the strait to the larger and better protection eastern landmass. Falcon Scott would become the staging ground for the relocation, as well as humanity's last stronghold in the region. The First Army was abandoning the Antarctica Center entirely, so there was no point in seeking shelter in any of the siege capital, even if some of them were still holding out. I'm gonna make a noose. I'll be right fucking back. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Oh my days, I can't speak! Not a fucking word that came out my mouth trying to say that word made any sense. Holy shit. So there was no point seeking shelter in any other siege capital, even if some of them were still holding out. All divisions were going to retreat to Falcon's Guard eventually anyway, taking the civilians with them. Sonny sighed. Sounds like a plan. A plan that could very well end in a disaster, but a solid one nevertheless. The army command was not entirely clueless. Master Jed had had to know about the Eber's fields to send her crow after him, after all, so it was not like the entire leadership was compromised. It was just that there were gaps in the flow of information between the headquarters and the people on the front lines, which was detrimental but inevitable for as long as the Winter Beast still lived. The Winter Beast is gonna cause so many fucking deaths. I can just feel it in my bone marrow. As much as it pains Sonny to admit it, everyone was doing their best in a terrible situation. There was no one to blame. It was just that he, personally, had the misfortune of finding himself in more dreadful end of the terribleness spectrum, as far as the circumstances were concerned. Damn it. Shaking his head, he climbed onto the roof of the rhino and slightly observed the flurry of activity inside the resupply station. Everyone was busy. Nope. Nope. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Ooh, Sonny's getting on my nerves. Why do I have to have that one till fucking September? I don't know. I do know, but still annoys me. Shaking his head, he climbed. Everyone was busy. Even the refugees were helping load cargo into the vehicles Sergeant Gain had chosen to commandeer. The claw threw off the preach under the ceiling and landed near him, snuggling close to stare at the humans together. Sonny glanced at the blackbird insidiously. What do you think? Will we make it? The small monster glanced at him in confusion and crowed a couple times. Sonny scoffed. Figures, you're just an echo. What do I call you anyway? The bird tilted its head. Caw! Caw! Sonny smiled. So your name is Crow Crow? Well, I'll just call you Crow if you don't mind. Let's not be hypocritical about names now. Let's not be hypocritical about names. You are terrible at fucking names. Let's not go there. The bird stared at him for a few moments and then cawed and flew away. Shaking his head, Sonny shifted his perception and concentrated on the view of the outside. One of the shadows remained there to watch the approach to the depots, hiding in the darkness. The ash was still falling in the sky, obscuring the skies and the crimson flames of the aurora. Black soot was mirroring the white surface of the snow, turning it into a dirty grey sludge. The silhouette of the nearby mountains were outlined by a red glow that emanated from the sea of lava, making the whole landscape seem eerie and ethereal. This entire continent was way too weird. It's like I never left the dream realm. Yeah, fair assessment. As Sonny thought that, a slight movement attracted his attention. Soon, a flicker of light appeared in the distance, and then a whole river of them showed itself from behind the closed slopes. A stream of light flowed down the river road, heading straight for the entrance of the supply depot. His face fell. Not again. Out there in the ashen wilderness, a large column of battered vehicles was rolling down the road, escorted by scores of disheveled soldiers. I will get soldiers right inevitably. Some of them were on foot, some moved with the help of the powered exoskeleton armor suit, aiming into the darkness with a light high-caliber rifle. The haunted expressions, the lightless eyes, the face of the frightened refugees behind the cracked windows of makeshift transports. It was all too familiar. Sonny closed his eyes for a moment. Those would be the survivors of the Eber's fields, huh? With an exasperated sigh, he shook his head and then jumped off the roof of the rhino. Outside the underground depot, a long column of vehicles had come to a halt. The soldiers were running to assume defensive positions, and their leader were barking orders to get them moving faster. In front of the locked blast door, several people stood there with tired expressions on their face. One of them, an awakened woman with a tattered robe, was cursing as she placed her hand on the security panel over and over again. The mechanical voice was not amused. Lieutenant Carlin, verified. Insufficient clearance. Access denied. God damn it! The woman slammed her fist into the panel, then glanced at one of the other officers near her. After a few seconds of somber silence, she asked, "Do you think one of you guys can hack it, or are we gonna have to blow through the damn gate?" The man hesitated for a while, then opened his mouth to say something. Before he could, however, there was a reverberating hum and the blast door opened suddenly, slid to the sides, revealing the entrance of the dark tunnel, and a very pale, very ominous-looking young man in a black garment standing there with a strange, eerily calm expression on his face. I'd appreciate it if he didn't try to blow my gate, actually. The awakened woman jumped back with a yelp and outstretched one hand to summon a weapon. What the hell are you? The pale stranger tilted his head a little and stared at her with his cold, dark eyes. Master Sunless, first a regular company. With that, he looked past the officers at the long column of vehicles behind them. Suddenly, the young man's face grew a little lively. The awakened woman let out a relieved sigh. "Oh, you're human. Wait, Master?" Glancing back at her, the young man suddenly smiled. "Say, you wouldn't happen to have a few MWP pilots in that convoy of yours, would you?" Hey, look at that! Fated's doing its job, once again. Sonny wanted those giant mechs to start moving. He gave them a platoon of people that could fucking do it. About time Fated was on his side, goddamn. Done nothing but fist the poor bastard. The MWP mobile war pilots. Fated finally in support. Can't wait to see how it tortures him next. Dead ass though. 6 months is reasonable if you do 10 to 20 chapters a day. Again, if I wasn't streaming it, I'd probably get through way more. How the hell do you get through 1,000 chapters? Deciding whether I want chips or a sandwich for dinner is hatred. Ooh, sandwich. Probably a sandwich. I would kill for a sandwich right now, actually. It took me 6 months to catch up. Fair. Josh needs to read 1,000 chapters a day. Trust it's possible? Fuck no. Fated is Loki an ass attribute. It only functions is to tell you that you're important to Fate. Kinda, not really. Yes and no. You obviously know way more than me, but from what it's been demonstrated to me so far, it's like a glorified luck factor. Bear in mind that the fairy video I made about Fated a couple days ago. Just because it's, well, first of all, 1,000 chapters a day, that is flat out impossible for me. If you go at 3 times speed. Fated is the reason for Sunny's suffering, but it's like Sunny would defeat Oro with Sunny wouldn't defeat Oro without it. Yeah. I never said it's a luck buffer. I also claimed it to be a marker, by the way. In my fairy video, I claimed it to be so. But I also claimed it to be, like, a part of Fated is probably a luck attribute, right? That's like the current idea I've got with. It's like, okay, there are Fated people. There has to be a reason these people are Fated. And Fated's probably playing a long con game of, let's see if you're worthy of the results we can give you by going through these tests. The tests are, you're going to be tortured for about 5 months at a time, give or take. Give or take. And then we will give you some really good shit. Like, really good shit. You did say look buffer 20 seconds ago, buddy. I did, technically. But only in these kind of circumstances. Look and Fated are different things in Shadow Slave. Don't I fucking know it. Anyway. Did I change it? Yeah, I did. Chapter 966. Reinforcements. The new arrivals did, indeed, turn out to be one of the splinter groups of the Ibris Field survivors. There were many more people in the caravan than in Sonny's caravan, but none of the soldiers held a higher military rank than him. Most senior officers among them being an awakened lieutenant called Corin. Needless to say, there was no master among them either. So, ironically, he ended up being in charge again. Sonny had been responsible for 6 awakened and 2 civilians after leaving LO-49, which suited him fine. Then, there were about 300 refugees and several dozen of the mundane soldiers joined them. Those numbers seem like a joke now. After the Ibris Field survivors joined the group, Sonny found himself in command of a significantly larger force. There were also more than 4,000 civilians currently sheltered in a crowded resupply station, as well as 500 mundane soldiers. Lieutenant Colin had many awakened warriors with her, as well as 4 new sleepers. Jesus fucking Christ! Sonny sent out the ladder to the nameless counterpart, placing the young man in charge. That's funny. The guy had turned out to be quite resourceful, and Bell's mentorship seemed to be bearing fruit. Not to mention that his core was very close to being saturated already. His first nightmare is going to be not his first nightmare. His first trip into the dream was probably going to be the easiest shit ever. In the end, there were now 3 full awakened cohorts and a half under Sonny's command. There were also 12 powerful MWPs being piloted by mundane specialists and more than enough powered armor suits for the soldiers, which drastically increased the caravan's defensive ability. The vast supply reserves of the underground station suddenly did not look so inextinguishable anymore. This is going to be a headache. Studying the crowded depot, Sonny grimaced. The increase in power and the number of tools at his disposal was welcome, but he would also have to rethink his entire strategy as to how to travel 2,000 kilometers separating them from Falcon Scott. Before, Sonny had mostly put his efforts into avoiding combat engagements, meticulously circumventing nightmare creatures and only attacking those swarms that could not be bypassed. But with a caravan this large, there was not going to be an option anymore. There was just going to be no way to perfectly hide so many people. Luckily, the caliber of threats they could take on has also increased. With several cohorts of Awakened and a small army under his command, Sonny was able to simply roll over many swarms, maybe even cut a pathway through the weaker hordes of abominations. But all that required a lot of mental adjustment, and even more work for his shadows. His map would also have to be updated to account for the change in the caravan's composition. Oh well, no sleep for me today, it seems. Walking towards Arana with a slightly exasperated expression, Sonny could not help but to hear bits and pieces of the conversation the new arrivals were having with the members of the initial convoy. I don't think any of us can survive. What's that? Cheer up, man, the devil himself is with us. So who can it be against us? Oh, is that Master Sunless? No wonder the name sounded familiar. I heard about him even though he was assigned to a different division. Still, what can one man do? Damn, what can't he do? I swear to the dead gods I saw him kill 100 nightmare creatures with a single arrow once. There was also one time where he summoned a whole damn bridge out of thin air for us to cross a canyon. Hell, the man fought a titan to a stalemate just yesterday. Actually, I'm not sure that was the stalemate. The glaze! He's getting it! All I know is that the captain came back, and the titan did not. You know, that's a raw-ass line. That's a raw-ass line. Holy fuck, that's a terrible way to put it, though. That is not the line I want to see used after Sonny got obliter-fucked by a giant titan. It's the quote. Ah, your farming is mad. No, I never fixed it. It just popped up and kept up. I'll always enjoy the glaze. Sonny low-key deserves a glaze. Let's be real, though. Context needed, though. I mean, yeah, they don't have the fucking context. All they know is the captain made a bridge out of fucking nothing, and they survived it. The captain got him out in an infinite loop. It then made a bridge come out of nowhere. He then moved a giant-ass fucking train for them to bypass. Then he was more than ready to go fight the fucking devil, just for a titan to arrive, and he somehow got his cohort to survive it all through him barely surviving an encounter with it. So to them, that looks insane. That looks like the most batshit insane thing any master could ever do. But to us, the reader, we know that's a fucking silly thing to say. Sonny, yes, glaze me sleepers. A corner of Sonny's mouth twitched up a little. His people were surely fond of embellishing his deeds, but he was not going to intervene. At this point, anything to raise the morale of the troops was a good thing, even if it was not entirely based on truth. Actually, if we can give Sonny anything, he did actually very literally stop the Titan from moving for like several minutes. Before, you know, being kicked in the fucking hole, being kicked into actual ash. Being kicked into very literal ash, he did stop a Titan. We do gotta give him that. That is an insane feat. I am the only one in the streams that sometimes that I can remember the story. So much better glaze deserved than Sun Jin Woo. Oh yeah, entirely. Sonny's glaze is low-key kind of deserved within the eyes of the people. Sun Jin Woo, not really. He climbed into the Rhino and walked to the command suite, studying the new faces among the usual participants of the strategic meeting. Sonny already knew the awakening Carlin, but the two mundane officers she had brought for the debriefing were strangers. Let's start. What he wanted to know first was how the Ibris fields had fallen. The truth turned out to be as disturbing as Sonny had thought. As he had suspected, the city had been destroyed very recently. In fact, it just happened 2 days ago, around the time him and his people were deciding to try their luck in charging the coastal highway. The main culprit of the disaster was also familiar. It was none other than his good friend Goliath. Yeah, thought so. We called this last stream. Damn bastard. After missing for the better half of 2 months, the stone giant had suddenly emerged from within Mount Ibris, breaking through one of its slopes and causing a whole side of the volcano to collapse. The resulting conflagration and the flood of lava had little chance of destroying the city that had been well fortified against exactly such an event, even if it was such a small scale. However, that was before the towering colossus smashed through the city's defenses, destroying the grandiose magma barriers, drain vents, and most of the contingencies the governments have put in place. Fuck me, I am not doing well. With the perimeter of the siege capital breached, the Titan rampaging its priority. It's blah blah blah. Rivers of lava flowing through the broken barriers and hordes of nightmare creatures using the chance to get inside. There had been nothing that the 1st Army Division stated that the Ibris fields could do to stop the cataclysmic assault. Yeah, nah. Let's glaze Cassie now. Cassie ain't done shit. Cassie ain't done shit so far. She don't deserve it yet. A few masses of the accommodating awakened force had joined forces to stalk Goliath for as long as they could, while the soldiers desperately tried to evacuate the civilians. That was probably where Davis and his cohort of irregulars had perished. Lieutenant Kane, or Karin, did not know how many people had made it out the hell in the end. But by judging her expression, it was probably much less than the total population of the city. the last thing she had witnessed before leaving the caravan away to the caravan away from the colossal figure of Goliath turned incandescence from bathing in the molten lava, plunging into the ocean and disappearing under the dark waves, from where the Titan had emerged the next day to attack Sunny's convoy. After Karin was finishing speaking, a somber silence settled inside the Rhino. No one knew exactly what to say. Wait a minute. What? I kind of just glanced past that. What? Oh, so Goliath attacked the city first, then went for Sunny and his cohort. Okay, that makes... Yeah, no, that makes the most amount of sense, because how would his cohort not know how it'd be destroyed? Yeah, okay, no, never mind, that makes the most amount of sense. After Karin was finished speaking, the somber silence settled inside the Rhino. No one knew exactly what to say. Eventually, Sunny sighed. The nightmare is over. Chapter 967. Nope. There you go. Just do that. Let's do that. Overall, she was very important to the Forgotten Shore. Overall, she was important to every arc she's been in. But I don't think she's deserving glaze right now. Changing right now. My ears, Josh. Sorry. Cassie's feats are just hard to see. Well, besides from the Forgotten Shore ending. Cassie's feats are being able to see the future, being able to hold her own with Sunny against Mordred. That's actually quite impressive. Being able to hold her own against two other masters whilst Mordred is fighting them. That's impressive. Her literally nosediving an entire ship into the Iron Giant. That's impressive. Also very funny. She's one of those characters that has like a little bit of glaze every single arc. And it's like, fair enough. She also kind of, barely, not really successfully brought the Firekeepers into existence. Alongside getting them to the Hollow Mountains. Without any of them dying. This probably wasn't far. Let's be fucking real now. It probably wasn't far. But she did it. Like, Cassie's glaze is there. You can do it. It's just not great. In comparison to, obviously, other major characters. Anyway. Chapter 967. Smooth Ride. 2 days later, they abandoned the resupply center. The underground depot was left almost empty. Since Sunny had decided to take everything they could on the road, not all the vehicles were loaded to capacity. But even if there was just a driver and a shooter inside, every last one of the commandeered was put to good use. Only the discarded civilian transports and those in the Eber's field vehicles were too damaged to remain reliable were left behind. Nightmare, Abomination, and Blackie moved at the front of the caravan, serving as a vanguard. The Rhino was still at the head, but not as a flank by two lumbering NWPs, both of them constantly scanning the surroundings with their high-tech optical array. Do you think the other cohort that kind of on the other caravan that knows about Sunny as like the devil of Antarctica sees Nightmare and goes, wait a fucking minute, is that Mongrel's? Is that Mongrel's horse? What the fuck is Mongrel's horse doing here? And they just like collect the dots. I like to think that. Behind them, the long column of vehicles stretched for more than 2 kilometers in the mountain road. That's a lot of vehicles. God damn. The remaining 10 NWPs and the 24 awakened were spread along the lengths, meant to protect the caravan in case of an attack from the flank. Most of the vehicles were armed, and there were personal carriers with 4 companies of mechanized infantry placed strategically along the refugees' transports. All in all, the caravan looked like a big, delicious target for nightmare creatures, but it was also one that would be extremely hard to swallow. I'd like to see those bastards try. Actually, scratch that, I'd rather not. Sonny was positioned on the roof of the Rhino, wearing his military coat over the mantle of the underworld with an elemental resistance of the onyx armor and the memory of the ice slotted into it. He was more than less immune to the mundane cold, so the chilling nature of the polar night was not bothering him too much. The falling ash, though, that was still irritating. Hopefully they would leave the area near Mount Eber soon. The wind was blowing in another direction, which not only moved the clouds of ash away from the caravan, but it would also make it harder for those nightmare creatures they relied on their senses to smell to detect the approaching humans far in advance. Still, he had no illusions that there would be a smooth ride. Luckily, Sonny was extremely well suited to serve as a guide. He had updated his map with as many details as he could and planned multiple suitable routes for the caravan. And with his shadow scouting ahead and the crow keeping an eye out for hidden threats from high above, he was informed about the surrounding area and the enemy's movements as anyone could be. The shadow scouted most enemies long before the long column of vehicles approached, and the black bird with its magical eye was able to notice anything they had missed. The combination was extremely effective. Information was lifeblood in warfare, so Sonny had a considerable advantage. He was going to use it well to navigate the treacherous expanse of the Antarctic Center to reach Falcon Scott unscathed. Unscathed? Don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I love the shadows. What's Sonny got right now? I know he has happy and lazy. What is it? It's creepy. It's creepy. It's happy. It's gloomy. He has 4 shadows, and then he has prideful. I think he could describe the next shadow. No, that's the only way I can really think of it. Oh, you meant his actual shadow. Yeah. I mean, imagine. I can't. He did say happy and lazy. Horsey? Yes, that's it. Horsey. His task had grown much harder because of the sheer size of the caravan, but on the other hand, the land they were traversing was also different from the complicated network of decrepit old roads in the south. The infrastructure between the Ebers and the northern part of the landmass had indeed been much more developed, and then expanded by the First Army in recent months to boot. Plus, they were moving away from the area that had been affected by the earthquake the most, so there were far fewer signs of destruction and obstacles in their way the further north the caravan drove. The roads were wider and better preserved, the terrain was less rugged. It was also not as flat and straight as the coastal highway, of course, but Sonny felt reluctant to return to the ocean just yet. Even if he did, it would only just be a bypass, an occasional difficult region, and then swiftly return to the mountains. Or not at all. At first, there was not too many nightmare creatures in the way. Most of them had been immediate area, probably migrated to the ruins of the Ebers fields, and were yet to return. What little resistance the caravan did meet was promptly obliterated by the irregulars and Karens awakened. For the first day or so, the MWPs did not even have to fire a single shot. The next one brought more enemies with it. However, the caravan did not stop, with drivers working in shifts to keep moving, so the destroyed city was far behind them. Here, the abominations ran free. Plenty of them had caught the scent of the large group of refugees. Swarm after swarm assaulted the columns of vehicles. Shattering against the defenses, the devastating barrage of bullets tore them apart, accompanied by arrows and magical projectiles tossed by them by the awakened. The MWPs let their monstrous Gatling guns and heavy mass drivers cut swarms through the mass of abominations, sending swarms of explosive missiles flying from the mounted launchers from time to time. If the nightmare creatures got too close, destructive flamethrowers and the awakened fighters made short work of them. If there was a fallen or corrupted abomination among the swarms, Sonny and Nightmare charged forward before the creatures could do any harm to the refugees. With Sergeant Geen running logistics and organizing the mundane soldiers, Lieutenant Carnan commanding most of the awakened, and Bell caring for the needs of the civilians, That was pretty much all he had to do. Dealing with the various powers nightmare creatures possessed was a bit challenging, but mostly Sonny found himself unexpectedly free, which was good, since he had plenty of time to address his tasks as the strategist and guide of the caravan. But still, weird. Am I actually a little bored? This one phrase is going to bite him in the ass so fucking. I can hear it. I can hear it in the echoes of the fucking sky. I can hear it go bite him in the ass. Looking at the remains of the another swarm to come at all, but rolled over, Sonny scratched the back of his head. He knew, of course, at this rate the progress would not continue indefinitely. In fact, they were bound to get bloodied as soon as he had failed to lead the caravan past the real horde of nightmare creatures, which was getting harder and harder to do. That had not happened yet, though. Am I suddenly very lucky, or is my luck just really terrible up until now? Sonny pondered about it for a few moments and then decided it was probably both. The question was, how long would the stretch of good fortune last? Not long now that you've said that, dumbass. Faded. Bitch, you say you're bored? 400 holy titans. Are you now? Let's fix that. 100 revive gods. 1,000 nephesis to slime you out. I can smell the upcoming trauma 10 miles against the wind. Dead ass, though. I don't trust any of this. Oh, Jesus Christ. 968. Oh, he would like that Nephis one. Sonny? Yeah, definitely. Knowing now he understands the kind of struggle she went through, he would. Oh, you think shit is sweet? Here comes the forgotten god. Oh my days. Oh, Jesus Christ. Fuck me, that's funny. God, I didn't even write notes. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. 968. Shifting scales. Oh, Lord. A few more days passed in the clamor of firing armaments and frenzied howls of dying nightmare creatures. The dark landscape of the Antarctic Center flowed past moved past the increasingly moving caravan with the starlight of the undulating visage of the Aurora Australis finally appearing from behind the clouds of ash, only to be devoured by the veil of snow. The blizzard was picking up again, making Sonny wonder if he was going to meet the second tiding raging in the region. He was not very enthused to make an acquaintance, to say the least. The journey was a strange one. Sonny was getting used to things going south fast, but the situation of the caravan was very different. Instead of something dreadful and devastating happening all at once, the circumstances were growing slightly more dire with every hour, bringing them closer to annihilation little by little. The confident pace that the caravan had established after leaving the reply center was long gone. Instead of rare skirmishes with weak swarms of nightmare creatures, they were now embroiled in the nearly unstoppable battle of with the sea abominations flooding the northern reaches of the Antarctic Center. The pressure of the Awakened and the MVP pilot had increased tremendously, and the infantrymen had to bloody the bayonets on more than one occasion already. Worst of all, the inescapable corrosion of the multitude of gates were exerting on their tech. The military vehicles were shielded from the detrimental effects of the cold to some degree, but very few had had the same rare and the expensive modifications as Rhino had. They were managing for now, but there's no telling how long it will last. Fuck me, I just died trying to read that. Where's my water? There it is. Where's my water? How are you planning on going? I don't know. I'll probably get to 175 today. Read a little bit more, probably get to 185. And then carry on tomorrow until we get to 1000. Anyone who glazes Cassie before, like, Volume 8 doesn't understand her character. Yeah. The problems were mounting. The casualties were mounting too. During the harrowing push to the Ebers field, Sunny had lost only a handful of people to the vagaries of the spell and the deadly crucible of battle. The losses were few enough to consider each one a poignant event. It was not much. It was not so much that the current step of the journey, the caravan had grown too much. The combat engagement they had to fight were too frequent. The intensive to avoid losing soldiers. The attrition rate was not terrible, and the fact remained admirably low. But it seemed that every time Gear contacted him to give an update on the state of the column, more names were being added onto the list. Sonny was strangely bothered by it. He had thought with the drastic increase of numbers, the loss of individual soldiers would not affect him as much, especially if the casualties were below expected. He had also thought that he would eventually grow numb to the news of people under his command dying, but he did not. The more of his soldiers died, no matter how few, the more bitter and angry he felt. However, the most powerful emotion he experienced was rather unexpected. Indignation. Not the emotion I would think Sonny would experience from this, but okay. Sonny felt inundated about the fact that he was forced to watch good men and women die, to see mundane humans putting their lives on the line to protect defenseless refugees, all the while the truly powerful ones were nowhere to be seen, embroidered into their own internal strife. Damn bastards. Maybe he wasn't cut out to be a leader at all. That was not to say that Sonny wasn't that was not to say that Sonny was ineffective. On the contrary, he was doing a good job in leading the caravan and pretending to be an intrepid commander. However, it was all alien to him. It was something he was doing because the circumstances had forced him to, not because he wished to play that role. Living alone in the dark had become much more comfortable. The good times. Reminiscing in the dark city's crazy. There was another strange thing about the caravan's advance north, something that Sonny had not expected, but nevertheless failed to account for. Oh, Sonny should have expected, but nevertheless failed to account for. Despite the slow attrition, the number of people under his command was not reducing. Instead, it was growing. Ballooning, even. The further they drove, the larger the caravan became. There were other large groups of people who had escaped from the Ebers fields, squads of soldiers that had lost contact with the army due to the blizzard, and an evacuation convoy that had gotten struck in the limbo after the destination was destroyed. All of them were happy to see a well-organized force moving north, especially since it was led by a master, so they had joined the caravan. Sonny could not really turn the stragglers away, and at that point there was no point to. So the 4,000 refugees under his protection turned into 5, then 6, and then 12? 500 soldiers turned into more than 1,000. The 3 cohorts of Awakened swelled into 7, and there were now 2 auxiliary sleeper cohorts instead of 1. Fuck me, Sonny actually does have a whole Sonny has like a small city's worth of people, dude. Fuck me. Not a city, like a small town's worth of people looking over. Fuck me. 12,000 refugees. I mean, he would be angry at people dying under his command. It would hurt his pride. Sonny leading a whole army, just like Nephis. Yeah, but his army is roughly, what, 12 times bigger? $12,000 is the number of people living in my home city. 1 minute. I'll check something real quick. I want to check something. Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, I didn't think so. I live, like, right next to 2 major cities, and I was like, how many people live there? Actually, I need to check something else. It's about, like, 1/10. No, not 1/10. It's about almost 1/4. Almost 1/4 of, like, my hometown. So when you say 1,200 is a city, that kind of threw me in a loop. Probably the district of your city, more likely. But a city, I think, has to have... A small city is like 300,000. Yeah, I'd say a small city is like 200,000 plus. A town's worth of people. Like a small town's worth of people. And that's saying a lot, because I live in a relatively small town as well. Anyway. So, they joined the caravan. So there were many more vehicles, too. The bloated caravan stretched for 2 kilometers now. They show no signs of stopping the rapid expansion. Looking at it, Sonny couldn't help but to shake his head. It's just a receipt for disaster. At this rate, he was going to end up leading the whole division by the time they had reached Falcon Scott, if they reached it. Hopefully, he would stumble onto a colonel or two to push the command responsibility on them soon. If the colonel was not an idiot, of course. Fuck me. Colonel. Fuck me. Sonny had just finished dealing with a very nasty fallen demon laying in ambush in the path for the caravan and returned the head of the column. As soon as he appeared from the shadows of the roof of the rhino, the crow flew down and perched on his shoulder, its feathers ruffled and covered in snowflakes. He glanced at the miserable bird inside. What? Did he see something? The small monster bobbed its head. Crow saw? Sonny waited for the crow to continue, knowing it had to be bad for an echo to seek him out. The flying monster crowed again. Horde! Horde! Yep, there we go. Shut up. A small town's worth. 5,000 plus 50,000 less. Yeah. Do what you wanted to do in LO49. Yeah. You can do it, Sonny. With that, the bird turned its head and pointed its beak in a certain direction. Curse it. There was a horde of nightmare creatures ahead. One that the crow did not know how to avoid. Finally, Sonny's fears had come true. He had hurriedly sent a shadow that was the closest in the direction where the echo was pointing to forward. It was already been scouting far ahead, but apparently not far enough. Soon, Sonny's eye had narrowed. It was indeed a vast horde of abominations, and bypassing it was out of the question. Well, unless he used the coastal highway, of course. In that case, the caravan would have a chance of skirting the sea of abominations. A slim chance, at that. They would also be risking a meeting with something even worse. Gifts of the shore. Oh, I guess we're just avoiding the horde then. I guess Sonny's being a bitch. Just get the irregulars. Get them out. Fucking kill them off. Who cares? Does Josh know about that lady yet? I'm going to look away from chat because I feel like I'm entering into spoiler territory. What the fuck? Chapter 9. Chapter 969. Anyway, guess off the shore. Sunny's shadow swiftly glided through the darkness, climbed to the steep slopes of the vast river of nightmare creatures. Sunny was trying to gauge the true size of the horde, but no matter how hard he was looking, it was simply no end to it. All kinds of abominations were gathered in this tremendous mob which spilled over the cliffs, undulating a crowd over the landscape. The horde was stretched into a long line, moving from east to west, towards the coast. The width of it was somewhat bearable. Making it through, trying to cut through the mass of nightmare creatures appeared tentatively in his mind, however. The length of the horde was simply too oppressive. The caravan was very large now, and even if Sunny had managed to create a breach in the river of monsters, not all vehicles would be able to pass through before the tide of abominations ripped them apart. It was still an option, though. He was thinking about you had to think strategically. To the east of the horde, stretched for as far as the shadow could see, to the west, there was still some space between the front ranks of the mob of nightmare creatures and the coastal highway if the column of vehicles sped up while the abominations maintained their pace. There was a good chance that they would narrowly miss each other. If not, the caravan would be caught between a horde and the ocean, potentially suffering even more casualties, and that's not even considering something could attack them from the water as well. Sunny sighed. Crap. The first option, all but guaranteed that people would die, but had a lower damage ceiling. The second promised a small chance that no one would be killed at all, but the potential to turn into really disastrous if something went wrong. He hesitated for a few moments, then contacted Geen. Yes, Captain. Sunny gritted his teeth. There's a horde of nightmare creatures ahead. Fall forward. If we're taking a break to detour via the highway, inform everyone to prepare for a tough battle. Okay, so he's not being a bitch. At the end... Oh, yeah. There, the decision had been made. Sunny was not happy with it, but at least the caravan stood a chance of escaping unscathed if they were not ready to colossally send people to die yet, even if it meant risking a more dire result. At the end, Sunny would know that if he at least tried. Following his orders, Luster sent the Rhino flying forward. The MWP's escorts strained to keep up, but eventually adjusted to increase the pace. The military vehicles compromised the caravans following suit, and soon the whole column was moving forward at a reckless speed. Do not break. Sunny stepped back, hoping that nothing would go wrong. If the vehicles broke down in the middle of the charge, there would be no saving the passengers. The faulty transport would also potentially slow down everyone behind it, which would also be a complete disaster. However, the fewer number of gates along the coast was also one of the reasons he had chose the second option. So if anything, leaving the mountains for a bit would also lessen the probability of a serious malfunction. The Rhino maneuvered to the breaching road and led the caravan west, descending towards the highway. As they approached it, Sunny tentatively observed the horde and tried to calculate if they were going to make it past the advancing mob of abominations before it reached the coast. For now, it seemed like they still had a narrow window of opportunity, but then as soon as they reached the highway, the window was gone. For some reason, the front rank of the horde suddenly went into a frenzy and rushed forward, with the rest of the mob soon following in an avalanche of flesh. Sunny was not sure that the nightmare creatures could not have sensed the caravan yet, so he did not know why their behavior changed so abruptly. It was as though something on the coast was pulling the abominations towards it. Oh, for fuck's sake! Why? Bye, everyone, I'm fucking beat. Alright, later, random. If this is the bitch's fault, I'm gonna be mad. And I'm really gonna want Sunny to kill it. In any case, the horde moving much faster now. Any chance of passing it without a battle the column might have had were gone. They would have had to fight their way through in the end. Curses. At least the caravan was going to be assaulted from one side. The left flank would be protected by the ocean. Precuriously as it might sound. What the hell? Spook those bastards. Looking forward to see the first abomination spilling into the highway, some distance away, Sonny froze for a moment. Oh. Out there, ahead of them, laying on the shore like a mountain of white flesh, the corpse of a colossal abomination towered above the highway. It looked like a monstrous jellyfish of a mind-boggling proportions. Some of it was lifeless. Some of it was lifeless tentacles stretched for hundreds of meters into the dark water. The strange, transparent flesh of the dead dweller of the depths was torn and scorched, with a large chunk of it missing. Strange organs could be seen beneath it, and the lake of frenzied slime covered the long stretch of the highway around it. Something had thoroughly scavenged the terrifying creature, and then left without devouring its prey. And now... Oh, it's the fucking thingy! And now the horde of nightmare creatures was rushing to finishing the job. As Sonny watched, the tide of abominations flowed over to the highway. The first rank sunk their fangs into the dead horror with rabid hunger, followed by a hundred other creatures in the next second. How high do you rate your balancing skills? Like a 3. I have none. Like, frankly, I have no balancing skills, like, at all. I climbed a tree as a kid, so I'm pretty good. I have fallen over standing still before. 10 out of 10. No, that's so real. My iron deficiency quaked at that one. That's fucking funny. The appalling corpse was giant, but not giant enough to satiate them all. Soon, the slower nightmare creatures reached the coast, ruthlessly tearing at the bodies of the feasting brethren to reach the succulent white flesh. They crawled over the towering jellyfish like ants, slowly eviscerating its upper layers. And behind them, countless more were already flowing down the mountain slopes. Sonny gripped his bow, knowing the caravan would have had to fight their way through the dreadful barrier of monstrous bodies soon. Actually, a few stragglers were already close enough to Samara to start firing her rifle. Looking at the approaching scene of morbid carnage, Sonny felt a chill run down his spine. It's alright. We can still pull through this. That's what he thought. At least until airy flashes of crimson light ignited in the haze of the blizzard to his left, far into the ocean. An enormous, gargantuan shape was moving through the waves, getting closer to the shore. Hellfire? Hellfire? Anyway, the funny chapter's done. Oh god. My throat gone. I can barely stand still, so y'all got buffs. That sounds like a you problem. Wait, I think that's because y'all didn't fall down as much as I did. No, I fell. My ADHD was terrible as a kid. I'd climb and do anything. I just got bad balancing. I've got poisonous blood. I'm constantly debuffed for real. That is true. You are dying like 24/7. Most of the time it is your fault though. What were you talking about being bored, yo? That one has been checked out. That's how I know, so you know it's bad. Jesus Christ. Alright. I'm gonna make a second cup of coffee real quick. I will be, like, right back. So, talk amongst each other. Have fun. I'll be right back. We back. Ugh, my hair. Ugh. Is Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint any good? I haven't read it yet, and I know nothing about the story or the setting. I've got it as like the #1 story I've ever read. So, from a personal bias, yes. And if you're gonna read it, go to the Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, like, actual website. And where you can read the side story, the one-shots, and all that. Just read Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, though. Don't need to read anything else, really. Anyway. I won't hate on Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. I hope not. It's fucking good. Dare I say, great. Dare I say, double dare even. Fantastic. Anyway, let's get into this. Hellfire. Do. I really need to change my key binding for screenshots, because holy fuck. Before I started doing streams, I usually catch a screenshot as like P on OBS for certain thumbnails and shit, and it's annoying ever since I started taking notes. Don't worry, I will hit ORV. It is my Nephilim. That's fine. You can hate. I'm a person that's like, you can hate whatever for as long as you can justify the actual hating for it. Like, the only thing I really don't like about Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint is that a lot of the names is, like, just too much for me. Is that the, dyslexic? Yeah, it's the dyslexic font. Yeah. Right up there, see? You hate on Nephilims because it's fucking racism. You can hate on Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint because its story isn't for you. There is a difference. There is racism and then opinion. You can hate on whatever story. Like, right now, I am reading something, and I'm not enjoying it. I'm not. I'm really not enjoying it. Reverend Sandy. And That's just my opinion on it. While I was reading Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, the names changed halfway through. I was so pissed. I was like, damn, who the fuck is, he want? No, okay. That's fair. I hated how they handled the essay. Oh, that's fair. Alright, catching strays. All I'm saying is I'm never streaming it. That's all I'm telling you now. I am never streaming it. That's in the never streaming list. Anyway, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint is so mid. Okay. Okay. Chapter 970. Hellfire. As the Garifan approached the spilling court of nightmare creatures, Sonny readied himself for battle and feverishly tried to come up with a way, anyway, to save the lives as many people as he could. However, no matter how much he thought about it, there was just no solution. Many souls were going to be lost today, and the best he could accomplish was to make sure that those who were dying were soldiers and not refugees. Alright, is defo the most warped shit ever. I'm gonna give it 500 chapters in my own spare time. Because it's only, what? It's only like 2,000 chapters or some shit. It's only like 2,000 chapters. I'm like 25 chapters in. If it doesn't captivate me at all, if nothing does, I'm dropping it and I would never talk about it again. How the hell do you make your... Anyway. Is Reverend Insanity the Mushoku Tensei of novels? Fuck no. Fuck no. I wouldn't know either way, but from what I've read, no. Anyway, he knew that the caravan would be able to break through the horde of abominations eventually, but he also knew that at least several vehicles, as well as squadrons of his soldiers, would perish in the process. Hundreds, if not thousands, of humans were going to die today. His gamble did not pay off. Sonny felt a bit resentful about it. With a sigh, he summoned the helmet of the man of the underworld and raised Morgan's warbow. It was at that moment that the eerie crimson light flashed through the haze of the blizzard, followed by a scattering of small sparks. He froze and then looked to his left, with a dark expanse of the ocean was obscured by the veil of snow. Out there, something inconceivably gargantuan was hiding, its enormous shape only revealed by a hazy flashes of crimson light. What? In the next moment, a deafening roar assaulted his ears, and then something he had never experienced happened, and then something he had never expected happened. Ahead of the convoy, the mass of nightmare creatures was suddenly torn apart by a series of earth-shattering explosions. Bits of concrete, flesh, and bone flew into the air, creating a cloud of red fog. A moment later, flowers of angry red flames bloomed on the slope of the mountain, obliterating even more abominations. The whole world trembled. Sonny's eyes widened as he shifted his look back at the ocean. The wall of the blizzard had been unmade as well, and although the breach of the snowstorm was already closing, he still managed to catch a glimpse of the source of the carnage. The gargantuan shape drifting in the waves was a massive battered battleship. He thought he had recognized the lines of the mangled alloy hull. The vessel was strangely slanted, one of the sides resting much lower than the others. The deck railing almost touching the waters. Its hull was marred by terrible scars and breached in many places, with some of the holes being large enough for the rhino to drive through. Though, it was just what remained above the surface. The bow of the ship seemed scattered and deformed. It was a mystery how the vessel remained afloat, and yet it was still capable of firing its armament. The crimson lights Sonny had seen were the batteries of the starboard cannons unleashing hell, and the scattering of sparks was the salvo of missiles being launched at the nests. What the fuck? I have to disagree with all the hate. The recent chapters have been very good. I'm pretty sure most people have a problem with the start of the Mushoku Tensei instead of the middle portions. I've been told to just not read it and give the anime a chance, because apparently core, what is it? They go by cores, don't they? And like core 2 and core 3 are fucking great. Bear in mind, Rudy. Who's firing the cannons? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm like, who the fuck is puppeteering a ship? I'm afraid to continue Lord of the Mysteries because I don't want to consume all the peak novels yet. Even though I've already gotten soft cover. Even though I've already got the soft cover books. Yeah. Have been good. Not the best, though. Anyway. Where was I at? As Sonny watched, the ghostly battleship fired another barrage of heavy explosive rounds at the horde of nightmare creatures, this time aiming entirely at the slope of the mountain. He blinked. Well, I'll be damned. Did he really receive reinforcements? Sonny did not know where the wrecked ship vessel had come from, but he was not going to waste this opportunity. The intention of the unknown captain was clear. The first salvo somewhat cleared the highway, and the second one overshot it by a good degree, slamming into the mountain slope and obliterating a large swarm of the advancing nightmare creatures, cutting off those who would remain on the road on the rest of the horde, for now, while simultaneously opening a path for the caravan. That was his chance. Silently thanking the daredevil who used the sinking ship to come to their rescue, Sonny drew his bow and sent a strike of thunder flying forward. A moment later, it hit the mountain of white flesh, electrocuting scores of abominations that had been fighting to devour the giant jellyfish just a few moments before. All forward units attack. The NWPs running beside the Rhino simultaneously raised their bulky hands and openly fired. The accuracy, while on the move, was not too great, but it was not too important when massive Gatling guns were involved. Streams of heavy rounds whipped across the surviving nightmare creatures, ripping many to shreds. A moment later, two swarms of missile shots from the shoulders were lumbering machines, adding to the chaos. From somewhere further behind, heavy-duty mass drivers joined the fray, with the turrets of the assault vehicles soon following. The front of the caravan had, once again, formed a wedge to open line of fire for more attackers. Only this time, there were many more vehicles, awakened and war platforms shooting. The already thin front row of the massive nightmare creatures covering the highway were all but erased from existence by the onslaught. A moment later, the Rhino plowed into the remaining stragglers, painting itself with red. Sonny sent several arrows flying and then dismissed his bow, summoning the cruel sight instead. As soon as he saw the APC clear the stretch of the road obstructed by the horde, he stepped through the shadows and appeared at the thick of the enemies descending in the mountain. Even though most of them were being destroyed by the continuous barrage of the mangled battleship, many were still going through. The cacophony of bestial howls, thunderous explosions, and roaring artillery strikes were shaking the world, but he did not let it distract him. Now that he had heard the caravan had broken through the blockade, the battle was not over. On the contrary, it was just starting. They had to hold back the tide of the monsters to let the whole column drive through the created corridor and then stall the abominations to let it escape. Is Saint still not around? I just realized this. Is she still there? Like, still recuperating from it? Jesus Christ, girl. What the fuck are you doing? Moving with practiced grace, he butchered the lunging monstrosity and resembled a winged bat, and then crushed another creature's skull with its with the butt of his spear. The dying wish weaved itself into existence, summoning the ire of the frenzied horde upon him, but also inspiring his soldiers. One after another, the cohort of Awakened joined Sunny in building a wall of sharp steel along the edge of the highway. MWP stood beside them, drowning the mountain slopes in hellfire, unleashed by flamethrowers. Several personal carriers stopped, releasing companies of mechanized infantry, each soldier clad in an exoskeleton suit of powered armor and carrying a heavy rifle. In a matter of minutes, the safety corridor was secured. Now all they had to do was hold the line and show the abominations what the First Army was really made of. The devil is with us. Show them hell. Burn in fire, you wretches. Sonny was rather surprised by the enthusiasm of the soldiers who just recently joined his caravan were showing. Well, he was not going to complain. Maybe it was the effect of the dying wish, or maybe it was just wanting to avenge the Ibris fields and wash off the shame of the feet of their souls. Thrusting the cruel sight into the open maw of the fallen abomination, he suddenly felt a jolt run through the mantle of the underworld. Suddenly, the armor felt slightly lighter. What was that about? Shaking off the weird feeling, he jerked the corpse of the nightmare creature off the spear and looked around, searching for another target. No. What the fuck's this about? You can't do that to me. You can't do that to me. What the fuck's that about? The word slop is overused. Oh, hilariously so. Especially in the web novel community. To be fair, sometimes it's deserved. There's a lot of AI slop, but... She's taking a much-needed nap. Sunny isn't paying her enough memory, so she's taking some time to figure out how to unionize against them. She literally got... Like, she's evolving right now. And that's because of Sunny! Why am I on a different website? What's going on? There we go. We're not doing this shit. Also, holy fuck, why is my music so fucking loud for me? If this mouse does not learn how to work, I will break something. Or someone. Either one will do, frankly. Nope. Move. There we go. I'm gonna have to buy a new mouse, man. Fuck's sake. Mode transmigrated into Novel Phoenix. Yeah, no, fuck that shit. Novel Fire is still... I know, I'm still fucking using it. It just keeps fucking swapping me. You have music? Yeah, it's very low, though. Yeah, I should be able to hear it now? Roughly? Anyway, 971. Strategic retreat. Sunny and the soldiers held back the abominations while a long column of vehicles drove through the cleared corridor. The pressure of the horde was exerting on them. The pressure of the horde was exerting on them was dire, but not impossible to overcome thanks to the artillery support from the mangled battleship. The Awakened and the mundane soldiers were together, aided by the lumbering MWPs and the assault vehicles. Soon the whole mountain slope was torn apart and enveloped in flame. An angry red glow spread through the blizzard. making it seem as though the snow itself was aflame. And the sounds of firing armaments, detonating explosive, and bestial howls fused into an ugly, deafening illatry. Sonny was busy dealing with the most frightening abominations, moving through the shadows to reach them in time. His swift figure appeared in front and disappeared into the darkness, leaving a trail of death devastated behind. Leaving a trail of death and devastation behind. Sometimes it almost seemed as though he was existing in several places simultaneously, which fueled the zeal of his soldiers. For now, the line of defenders was holding, and every minute they did, the more vehicles drive past the monstrous corpse of the giant jellyfish to clear the battlefield. So far, so good. Whoop. That's not meant to be that loud. You're meant to be that loud. No, my hearing problems are restricted to voices. Sounds about right. Both websites are the same, the chapters are the same, and the accounts and even the comments are the same. It's the same website, but I prefer Novel Flyer. I'm autistic, so I prefer this kind of shit, you know? At some point, the cannons of the battleship grew quiet, and the rain of the artillery shells stopped. Either the vessels had run out of ammunition, or the stress of sustaining the heavy barrage had already turned out to be too much, and it was already falling whole, causing it to sustain even more damage. In any case, by that point, most of the caravan had managed to pass in the advancing horde, with the artillery bombardment gone and the no killing field between them and the highway anymore. A flood of nightmare creatures rushed forward, aiming to slam into the defensive line of the humans and rip them apart. That was when Sonny finally utilized Shadow Manifestation. He had not used it before in order to conserve essence for the exact moment, but now there was no point in holding back anymore. The rows of dark spikes rose from the ground, obstructing the advance of the abominations and forcing some of the impale themselves on the sharp tips. Pushed from behind the frenzied mob, more were ran through, perishing right there and then. Others were simply slowed down. The spikes were soon destroyed, but their jobs were already done. The momentum of the horde was stalled, and the MVPs were able to create a wall of fire in its way. A few moments later, burning monsters burst through the flames, lunging at the defensive line with rabid rage, and they were met by a sharp steel rain of bullets. "Hold, we're not done yet." Following its command, the soldiers held. The Awakened were burning through their essence, while the mundane fighters were exhausting their ammunition. But they held. 1 minute, then 2. Finally, the last vehicle had drive past and disappeared into the haze of the snowstorm. Sonny let out a relieved sigh. The battle was not done yet, but the last of the refugees were safe. Infantry, retreat! Pulling out of the furious engagement was not an easy task. They had to do it in stages. First, the mundane soldiers orderly retreated, loading into the personal carriers after the massive vehicles drove off. The weakened defensive line shifted, slowly moving back. As they did, the MWPs fired clusters of remote-controlled landmines, leaving hundreds of them in the wake of the retreating human force. Once enough of the pushing nightmare creatures entered the blast zone, the mines detonated, momentarily shaking the world. The defenders used that moment to abandon the battle. The Awakened jumped onto the roof of the Awakened vehicles, which then sped away. The NWPs followed, turning their torsos 180 degrees to continue firing back as they ran. Sonny was left alone to face the wrath of the bloodied horde. Well, not quite. Nightmare had emerged from the shadows with a fury of bloodlust burning in its crimson eyes. Looking at the approaching tide of abominations, Sonny smiled coldly. "Come at us, bastards." The shadows surged around him, shooting forward like a dark chain. At the same time, the cruel sight shined with an incandescent light. He used the chains and walls of shadows to fuel the nightmare creatures, to funnel the Nightmare creatures, killing and maiming as many as he could with his spear. Nightmare rampaged in the mists, too swift to be caught and brought down, at least for now. But then again, it was not going to be linear all long. It's not going to be linear for long. All Sonny had to do was buy his soldiers time to put distance between themselves and the enemy. Soon, all his defenses were obliterated, and it seemed like he and his shadows were going to be overwhelmed in mere moments. It was then both of their turn to turn into incorporeal shadows and fled, leaving the sea of furious nightmare creatures behind. Now the battle was truly finished. That was especially great about the conclusion. And a pleasant surprise to Sonny was that while the abominations lunged into the pursuit of the caravan, most remained seemingly more interested in the carcass of the monstrous jellyfish and the corpses of their own slain brethren. It seemed that the caravan had managed to escape. Thank the gods. A minute later, Sonny and Nightmare emerged from the shadows and flew over the highway, soon catching up with the retreating soldiers, and the caravan was still out of sight, hidden behind a wall of snow. But they would rejoin the main column soon. In cases like these, the forward force was meant to slow down, but not to leave itself without sufficient protection for too long. Sonny ordered his steed to get close for the rearmost vehicles and look at Samara, who was unsurprisingly sitting on a roof. With her red hair dancing in the wind, she was aiming her rifle back, firing a shot into the blizzard from time to time. "How are you in essence?" Samara glanced at him briefly and then smiled. "Doing well, Captain." With a nod, he jumped up, placing his feet on the saddle, leaping over the roof of the vehicle and settled next to his sharpshooter. Sonny was confident in his riding skills, but not confident enough in trying sitting on Nightmare backwards to shoot his bow. As Morgan's warball started weaving itself into scarlet sparks, Sonny lingered for a moment and summoned the runes. That strange jolt that I felt from the battle. Don't tell me. Did I finally fulfill the requirements of the Battle of the Underworld? I completely forgot this fucking armor set had, like, fulfillments to do. I completely forgot about that. Holy shit. Now, what the fuck was that battleship? Just, like, laying in the water. What the fuck was that? One minute. I appreciate it, though. And that went very smooth. Like, incredibly smooth. Soulbound. Don't you dare end stream. My favorite moment of Antarctica is here. Oh yeah, he's at this part. My goat's here. Okay. I wasn't going to end stream until we got to 975 anyway. But okay, I guess we're... I feel edged. Yeah. I wasn't going to... No. Not 975. No, not 975. We're on 972. 972 Soulbound. All right, let's keep reading then if everyone's ready for this. Fucking hell. Sonny zoned out for a little, not paying attention to Samara and the MVPs discharging their weapons from time to time to pick off the most stubborn of the pursuers. The rate of their fire was slowing down anyway, meaning that the bulk of the abominations had either fallen behind or already killed. The Prince of the Underworld enchantment and a dreadful counter of vanquished foes. God. He had been stuck with that thing for so long, despite the fact that Sonny had inherited the Onyx armor with some of it already filled, but it still took him years to accumulate 6,000 victories. Bloody hell! Come to think of it, the whole mongrel debacle had happened because of his desire to increase the number of the counter somewhat. I can't believe I finally done it. Curious to see what changed, Sonny looked at his runes. He was a bit tense. After all, the description of the Prince of the Underworld only said that the armor would grow stronger the more foes were vanquished. And it had. Over years, the cost of keeping its active enchantments running had diminished slightly, and the efforts had become a little more pronounced. The description said nothing about the mantle receiving an upgrade after the counter was filled, and that was just his assumption. Come on. Concentrating on the name of the memory, he read, Memory, Mantle of the Underworld. Memory rank, Ascended. Memory tier, 7. Okay. What? Oh. The mantle had seemed to grow from a tier 6 memory to a tier 7 one. That was not bad, but it did leave Sonny a little disappointed. He did hope it would increase in rank. He would hope that it would increase in rank instead. He sighed and continued to study the runes, turning his attention to the enchantments. The Living Stone, Feather of Truth, Starwalt, Underworld Armament, enchantments remained exactly the same. None of them have received any enhancements. The Prince of the Underworld had not changed either, except for the fact the counter had now shown 6,000 out of 6,000 as the number of vanquished foes. There was a new enchantment at the end of the list though. Soulbound Relic. Ooh. Soul. Sonny blinked a couple times. Huh? Suddenly excited, he concentrated on the enchantment to read the description. The description, however, left him largely confused. It did not provide any information about what a soulbound relic was, or what its powers entailed. Instead, the shimmering rune simply stated, Bind the relic. Was he supposed to say yes or no? However, Sonny lingered. Sonny had no idea what the Mantle of the Underworld... Sonny had no idea what binding the Mantle of the Underworld to his soul meant, and how it would change the Onyx armor, or a soul for that matter. Of course, the effect was most likely going to be beneficial since the reward for achieving was an amazing feat. The spell often had a strange notion of what a beneficial meant, though, which did not always coincide with what a human would consider such. Take his own aspect, for example. The innate ability Shadow Bond had become the bane of his existence, and yet the spell clearly thought it was a precious boon. Further still, the Mantle of the Underworld was not even the spell's creation. Rather, it was a memory of an artificially created by Never, the Diamond of Destiny. Most likely, for one of his stone children. Sonny suspected that it once belonged to a stranger, one of the 7 heroes of the Forgotten Shore, who had been Saint's tribe or possibly her previous lord. So, what would actually happen if he bound the artifact to his soul? This has got me anxious. What the fuck? He hesitated for a while, and then he dismissed the runes. Not because he decided against achieving a new enchantment, but rather because his shadows had noticed something strange on the road ahead. The tail of the caravan. The caravan, for whatever reason, had stopped. Damn it! It was outside the scope of the action plan he had established. Luster was not supposed to stop the rhino unless something truly drastic happened. Sonny prepared for the worst, but then relaxed a little after discovering the reason for the unexpected turn of events. It was honestly hard to miss. Slightly ahead of the convoy, beached on the cold shore, a mangled battleship that had helped them break through the horde of nightmare creatures towered like a vast mountain of metal. Up close, the damage done looked even more dreadful. The hull was full of holes, and most of the cargo seemed full of water. It was obvious that the proud vessel would never sail again. People were emerging from the branches of the hull, looking like tiny ants as they loaded onto lifeboats and headed to the shore. Some of them had already reached land and were now taking a small crowd of soldiers from the caravan. More fucking people for Sonny to look after. Sonny let out a relieved sigh, tossed a mirror to establish a perimeter around the rear of the column, and jumped off the vehicle, turning into a shadow. Gliding to the front of the caravan, did not take him too long. Returning to his human form near the rhino, Sonny dismissed the helmet of the mantle and headed towards the welcome party. I should really thank whoever was in charge of the battleship that saved our skin back there. Oh yeah. As he neared the small crowd, he had heard a pleasant but strained voice asking a question. "You're the commanding officer then?" One of the soldiers responded. "Oh, that would be the devil. I mean, captain." The representative of the ship interrupted him, sounded surprised and a little tense. "Your commander officer is a devil?" The soldier grunted. "Not a devil, the devil. Don't worry, sir, it's just a nickname, I think." At that moment, Sonny finally reached them and saw the speaker. His eyes widened a little bit. A tall, handsome with black hair, the eyes of an unusual, beautiful indigo color. Oh shit! No wonder his voice sounded familiar. Naveen! Naveen! Let's go! Oh my god, what a clutch bastard! What the fuck? Holy shit, Naveen! The Nightwalker seemed a bit ragged and worse for wear, but it was unmistakably Master Naveen of the House of Night, his temporary pal. Hearing Sonny's voice, Naveen looked away from his soldier he had been talking with, and then lowered his gaze a little and smiled with surprise. "Sunless? Wait, is that really you? How are you here?" Sonny coughed awkwardly and then glanced at the talkative soldier with murder in his eyes. "Ah, that's me, actually, and the devil, in charge of delivering these fools from hell." Hey, fucking let's go, it's the V! Hell fucking yes! Oh fuck, I might not have to stop. I might not stop. It's pronounced Navy. Yeah, probably. I say probably, you're definitely fucking correct, but still. But the goat is here! Let's go! Oh my god, my mouse is fucking up like crazy. Remember all those death flags? You fool, they were lies. Get baited. I'm gonna bring Helios in and then I'm gonna carry on reading, alright? I'm back. Had to bring Helios in. I have 2 kittens and they keep trying to eat my finger. I have 3 and they're all fucking annoying. You know what? Y'all haven't seen the kittens in a while. And we're like 3 hours in. I'll show you Sonny. How about that? Let's get Sonny. Been a long time coming. But it's kitten time. Look how much they've grown. Sonny and Kai. Kai goes tomorrow, so appreciate him when you can. Just get on my shoulders. Kai, they're not happy with me. Like I told you at the beginning of the stream, it took me like an hour to bathe them all. But it's all done. You're all clean now, aren't you? And you smell nice. About fucking time. Fucking hell, when was the last time y'all got a kitten time? He's leaving soon? He's leaving in like 15 hours. Roughly. The creatures hold malicious intent. Of course they do. It's the devil. The sacrifice for the kittens is usually me. And yet you always appear when they need it, so, yeah. Alright. Let's get at it. My last kitten time was like a month ago. I think that would have been the last kitten time done. Anyway, it's good to see Navy again. Chapter 973, Mutual Rescue. Navy stared at him in bewilderment for a few moments, then glanced at the column of military vehicles that stretched far into the distance. You're a commanding officer? Things must have changed then. Not that I'm complaining, it's actually great to see a familiar face. I just thought that you were supposed to be in charge of a single cohort of Elite Awakened. Sunny sighed. Yeah, well, this situation is a mess, so I ended up being in charge of an entire platoon instead. As well as around 12,000 refugees. Anyway, thanks for the rescue. I really owe you, Navy. The battle would have turned ugly without your ship support. He studied the gargantuan ship at the beached vessel, finally recognizing it as the battleship that had delivered his cohort to the Antarctica several months ago. Or what felt like it, rather. How long have they been in Antarctica? Like, a month? 2? Maybe? Almost 3, if I had to take a fucking solid guess at it. Navy let out an amused chuckle. Ah, yes, the rescue. Truth be told, it was us who needed to be rescued. As you can see, the ship is not exactly in great shape. And the crew, the ones who are still alive, are not in any way prepared for a long land-bound march across Antarctica. We are only truly capable at sea, and even then. About 2-3 months? Yeah, I thought so. He glanced at the mangled remains of the fearsome vessel. Ah, the sea turned out to be more capable than us, in the end. In any case, your caravan is pretty much our best hope. So, do you maybe have spare space in the vehicles for a few hundred shipwrecked sailors? Give or take? Sonny stared at him for a few moments and smiled. Yeah, sure. No problem. That can be arranged. There's a lot of useful stuff left in the cargo holds, I assume. Come with me and we can discuss the details. How the hell did your ship even end up here? Anyway, wasn't the convoy supposed to be cruising between Falcon Scud and the Northern Quadrant? As it turned out, Navy's vessel was one of that, like Andre. It was reassigned to patrol and relocate duty after the situation in the Antarctica Center worsened with the appearance of hostile Titans. His last order was to scout and secure the stretch of the coastal highway between the Kirbs fields and the northern part of the landmass, probably for the upcoming exodus for the First Army of Falcon Scott. Sadly, the Kirbs fields had been destroyed and the battleship met its adversary. That was a little too much for it. In the end, they had managed to kill the monstrous jellyfish, whose corpse eventually washed up on shore, but not before sustaining catastrophic damage. With no friendly port nearby, the vessel drifted along the coast for a while before encountering Sonny's cavern. Sonny spared Navy a grim look. I was actually supposed to be evacuated from the southernmost tip of the region by a vessel called the Andre. It was destroyed too, leaving me astray there. That's what the army command was thinking. Separating individual battleships from the convoy. Wasn't it obvious that it'd be a bit too dangerous for them to sail alone? The tall Nightwalker sighed somberly. Not as obvious as you may think. The coastal waters are not usually that dangerous, then compared to true deep sea. Or at least they used to be safer. There were risks. These were the risks involved, of course. That was given when you were... But that is a given when you're in a desperate. Still, we might have underestimated how much influence the Chain of Nightmares would exert onto the ocean. How do you mispronounce Andre? I don't know. I see that word. I have no fucking idea how to pronounce it. I couldn't give you a confident guess. Not one. Uncle saved kitten time whilst I was there. They also need some vitamin C. Oh, definitely. As Adrian, I guess. Oh, the Adrian. Oh, that makes a lot more sense. The entire chat is autistic. I can't unsee it. I can sense it. A-D-N-E. These are not helping. I am autistic. You typing it out like that means fucking nothing. I don't know how to pronounce those. Not in the way that you probably want me to pronounce it. Y'all can drink too much Ribena. Y'all can drinking too much Ribena give you a headache? Yes. That's thanks to the sugar intake. That one I know for sure with confidence. Add knee, bruh. Makes sense, I guess. Sonny was not. I'm just gonna call it the Adrian, cause fuck you. Sonny was not surprised that the Army Control had chosen to send the division spread across the Antarctic Center some naval support. Logistically, it was risky, but somewhat necessary decision, considering that the winter beast had shut down the entire communication network across the landmass. And it's not like Navee's Navy's it's not like Navy's battleship had been immediately sunk. The fearsome vessel operated the coast for close to 2 months before stumbling on the abominable jellyfish and suffering a Pyrrhic theoretic victory that led to its demise. If anything, Sonny was more surprised that the House of Night had agreed to play ball, since they were a great clan and since the great clans were so altruistic. Since when were the great clans so altruistic? That's a conversation for later. For now, both Navy and Sonny had a lot to do. The structure of the caravan had to be reorganized to make room for the surviving sailors. The sailors themselves had to disembark and reach land. The main battleship had to be scorned for anything that could be useful for a long journey to Falcon Scott. All that required time, which meant that the column would remain static for a while. A proper defensive perimeter had to be established. Guard duty shifts had to be set up. Refugees needed to be fed and cared for. Sonny might as well have given an order to make camp, but he was extremely reluctant to remain on the coast for an entire night. So all these things had to happen fast. Luckily, he was not the only master defending the caravan anymore. Even though most of Navy's power seemed to do with the water, he was still an ascendant. More than that, he was an ascendant from a great clan. The Nightwalker was an absolute elite among fighters. With years of battle experience under his belt and a vast arsenal of powerful memories stored in his soul, having someone like him by his side made Sonny feel much more confident in her chances reaching Falcon Scott in one piece. But coming back to the vast arsenal of memories, Sonny looked at Navy with a strange expression on his face. The handsome man noticed it and raised an eyebrow in confusion. Yes? Do you want something, Sonny? Sunless? How dyslexic are you? Josh, yes. Oh, I'm terribly dyslexic. It's like really bad. Switch from Ribena to Vimto? My fucking god, are you trying to make it worse? Are you using Edge? Try audiobook the word. My headphones are right there. They're playing music for you to listen to. In the background. Barely. Like proof music's there. And I've got it fairly low. And compared to my voice, it's fairly low. Navy having his name butchered in all sorts of different ways. Yep. Someone said pronounce it like Navy, so I'm pronouncing it like Navy. It was Naveen before, now it's Navy. Vimto doesn't come in, like, big enough bottles. I think I've drank, like, 7 cups of Ribena a day right now. You're a child! Stop! No! Josh's voice completely overpowers the music. Sounds about right. But yet, no, do not fucking drink that much sugar. Ever! I don't care. Like, fucking... Normal water. Normal fucking water. Holy shit. Oh my fucking god, Quibs. That's actually so bad for your health. Stop doing that. Bro, am I having an addiction? Fucking Christ. It's pronounced... I pronounce it like Nievi. No. Naive. Neve. That shit tastes so bad though, and it's watered down Ribena gang. It's fine. That doesn't stop the sugar content from infecting the water. All 7 cups could be hilariously watered down. And that'd still be terrible for you. Also, you're short as fuck. That's still bad. It's like Navy without the white. You know what? I'm gonna fuck you all off when it comes to pronouncing shit. Fuck off. No. No, I'm done. I'm more concerned for Quibs' health than me pronouncing something wrong. It's fine. I'll reduce it down to 4 cups. Reduce it to 3. 3 is fine. 3 is a healthy amount. It's not a healthy amount. But for, like, a child, it's fine. Whatever, right? Your liver is not completely fucking destroyed. You should be able to circulate all that sugar throughout your body. Not entirely great for your glucose levels or your insulin levels, to be fair. That's really fucking bad for them, actually. Probably why you've got a fucking headache. But still. God, your insulin levels. Oh, that's giving me an anxiety, man. Your insulin levels scare me. Go to 4, then to 3 a week, and then reduce it from there. Yes, yeah. Just reduce the intake, brother. Fuck me, you'll feel better. Bro has 2 livers, it's fine. I drink like a can of soda a week. Like, don't get me wrong, my sugar intake is, like, not the best in comparison to what it should be. But I am able to compensate that for everything else I consume. Quib's gonna get diabetes. Diabetics are scared of you. The needles actually... when you... the needles actually, like, curve upwards so they can't get into them. Quib's teeth are British. I mean, Quibs is British. Oh yeah, how's the health, Joshua? It's better. The likelihood of me still having to go to hospital to get checked up is still high, unfortunately. But bear in mind that, 1 minute. Bear in mind that, it's fine. It's looking like I just had a really, really bad colon incident. And food poisoning, which fueled on top of the colon. Dude, I know the brain runs on sugar, but that's too much. I'll just swap it out for hot chocolate. Quibs is pissing me off. I'm just gonna keep reading. Sonny lingered for a few moments and then smiled. As a matter of fact, I do. Say, Naveen, you Nightwalkers are all about naval combat, right? You wouldn't happen to have a memory or two that would help a land rat like me do well in water, would you? You know, things like breathing in it, swimming like a torpedo or so. Because if you do, I'm willing to trade. No, actually, I am really, really willing to trade. I all but swore I would never get close to the water without a memory like that, you see. Then V blinked a couple times. Well, actually, I do have something like that. Yes. Do you want to trade for it? Sonny hesitated, then pointed at the young man who happened to walk by them for a moment. See that guy? His name's Luster. He's a very valuable awakened. I'm pretty sure that's an army. I would not be happy if you sold me what he's just wanted, Sonny. Not Luster. Luster's been so good to you so far. Holy fuck. That's so mean. That's so unnecessary. Sonny, you prick. I also know you have more than enough memories from slaying nightmare creatures, you prick. Selling Luster is mental. Insane work. Water tastes like water. Water tastes like water. It isn't tasteless. Also, water's great. Water's like an actual S-tier drink. Bro moving like Mr. Krabs. Dead ass. I just realized I've been listening while playing Roblox for like a whole hour now. I mean, it's a good job we've been streaming for free. And there goes the mic. Yeah. Sorry about that one. Josh and the rest of the chat are dying inside. My life. Y'all trying to make me drink a sea of water, I swear to God. Like 2 cups of water a day. Astronomically better than fucking 2 cups of regular fucking water is infinitely better than 7 cups of Ribena. It doesn't matter how watered down that is. The Ribena is still gonna have too much shit in it to constitute for how much just drinking regular fucking water is. I'm not asking you to drink a cup of this a day. This is like my thing. By Harsh. Like, I go to gym, I drink, I have creatine, I have other shit that my body needs to go through. Only cups, we're starting the child off, like, slowly, okay? Fine, I'll force myself to swallow some water. Thank you. Good heavens. How do y'all not die from dehydration? I drink, like, way too much in my day, so I'm fine. Is this why British people have bad teeth? No. I just don't like bristles. I still brush my teeth. Brush them, floss them. Oh my god, what's the thing? What's the thing called? Use mouthwash and shit. There we go. Y'all don't know the meta of being a picky eater? I fucking do. I'm autistic. I was picky eater until I went to uni and where I was starving for like 2 to 3 fucking months, and I was like, you know what? Anything will do. Well, technically everything is poison. I tend to drink like 5 or so bottles of water a day after living the life of only drinking it for a few days. Is 2 liters a day good? For a full-grown adult? Yes. To be fair, I drink a little bit too much. I drink like this and this and like that a day. And this is 64 ounces. I have no idea what that's in liters, but yeah. Actually. I'd probably drink like 80 ounces of water a day. Let's go to converter, because I don't know how much that is in liters. Yeah, about 2 liters a day. 2.2 liters a day, to be specific. Hot chocolate is peak. Once a day. Maybe even once a week. Sunny selling slaves is so ironic. Oh, it's so Sunny though. So what can you give me, Sunny? Slaves. Let's go back here. All right. Chapter 974. Shadow in a Shell. 2.27 liters. Yeah. You think you have a sweet tooth? I mean, I definitely have a sweet tooth, but yeah. Is drinking 6 liters a day too much? Yes. That's like, how the fuck do you drink 6 liters of what else are you consuming? What's happening here? I just got here. The child is drinking too much Ribena. And so we're trying to convince him to drink just a water. Just any kind of water, really. 6 liters a day, gang? You're gonna explode. I'm still thirsty all day. Though. I mean, yeah, that's the con of drinking water. I'm always fucking thirsty, but... You know, gotta bring it back a little bit. Little bro's a sea creature. The max you can drink is like 4 to 5 liters a day, which I usually do. That's the most you can drink without going into like your health is in danger kind of category a day. Like you're barely on the fine side. I got quick metabolism. Oh my fucking god, you're talking to the wrong person about metabolism. Holy fuck. Failure. You should probably ask your doctor about that. Do people not experience pain whilst eating or drinking? Chat, you all concern me. You all concern me so much. Oh my days. Yeah, he's the baby of the moderators. Why do you think I've been calling him a child? I call anybody under the age of 20 a child, to be fair. But, like, still. He's, like, literally. Anyway, let's get to reading. Shadow in a Shell. In the end, Sunny did not make the trade with Naveen. He has a surplus of memories after slaying many nightmare creatures to... Oh, in the end, he did make a trade with Naveen. He had a surplus of memories after slaying many nightmare creatures to defend the convoy, and the Nightwalker was in dire need of weapons and armor suited for land combat, to arm his own awaken. There had been a full cohort of them aboard the battleship once, but now only 4 remain. Only 4 remained. Since these warriors of the House of Night would be defending the caravan along with the other awakens in the near future, the Saint was still slumbering. Sunny did not dare. Sunny did not drive a hard bargain. Fuck me. Also, she is still slumbering. Jesus Christ, girl, wake up. That was how he received 2 memories, which was meant to cover the gap in his arsenal when it came to traversing and fighting in water. One of them was a simple awakened charm that allows him to breathe in water. It was called Essence Pearl, and had 2 enchantments. One passively produced air, and the other activated and gifted the wielder with the ability to see clearly, as if wearing a glass mask. The depiction of the charms simply stated that breathing was an essence of life. The beauty of it was purpose. One had the ability to see clearly, to appreciate beauty, and live long enough to enjoy it. How romantic. The second memory was an ascended, and appeared to be an armor of sorts. In truth, it was more of a harness made out of a fisherman's net, which provided no protection whatsoever, but allowed the wearer to swim with surprising speed. The harness was called a nimble catch, and its description told the story of a muskrat king who had sworn to eat wondrous fish, only to learn that he could be caught by using the eyes of a monarch of birds, his brother, as bait. The whole thing was very weird. What's a musket king, though? Do rats eat fish? Outskirt rats started kicking in like fucking crazy here. I have forgotten to see. Nah, it's fine. It's over 20 years. After 20 years, you get used to it. What? Not being able to enjoy anything? Failure, you're just going blind. Wait, what's going on with failure now? It's probably due to my, deformed, esophagus. I also can't burp or throw up properly. See, that's a common issue I know people, that I know plenty of people have. I don't keep tracking how much I drink. Some days it's like 2 glasses of water. Other days it's like 12 to 14. Love from Pakistan, bro? Bet. I knew he was the youngest, but what the heck is he doing here? He's a baby. What's he doing here? He's a mod. He's good at it, too. Bro is 15 is not the problem until he... Bro is 15, it's not a problem until you're like 30. Sometimes I forget how to eat. That's just autism. That's just autism, dude. If it hurts eating, it means you need more soup or stews. Oh, I'd kill for stew right now. Oh my god. Like a proper juicy, meaty stew. Oh my god. Bro's wearing a fishnet gimp suit, on god. You know, I didn't think of it like that. But now I've got that image in my head. That's fucking hilarious. The only drawback of the strange harness was that, as usual, no other armor types would be used while wearing it. Nevertheless, Sonny was happy with his acquisitions. The inability to defend himself in water had been eating him since the sea journey to Antarctica. And even though he had hoped to never have to use these new memories, simply possessing them was calming. Several hours after encountering the beach battleship, the caravan drove forward once again. The length of it remained the same, but there were many new people in the vehicles now. Naive was not joking when he said that there were thousands of sailors on the mangled vessel, and even then there were only those who had survived. Sonny honestly didn't know whether to consider the soldiers or refugees, but he knew that Sergeant Gain and the other officers would sort them out soon. The caravan had a lot of spare weapons, especially now that he had unloaded the surviving cargo holds of the battleship. So there was a good chance that many of the sailors would become active combatants, and if not, Sonny was satisfied to have another master around. Navy's presence also did wonders for the morale of everybody in the caravan, not only because he was an ascendant, but also because he was because of how flamboyant he had appeared. If there was a way to make sure to win someone's adoration, it was to shower a horde of nightmare creatures trying to eat them with a barrage of artillery fire at just the right moment. Maybe I should remember that method. Sonny remained on guard until the column of vehicles turned left at the coastal highway. Climbing back into the mountains, it was the only way that he allowed himself to relax and descend from the roof of the Rhino to its interior. After exchanging a few words with Professor Robel and Beth, he climbed into one of the sleeping niches and closed it to receive some privacy. There, he lingered for a few moments and then summoned the runes. After thinking about it for a while, he decided to take a risk and bind the mantle of the underworld to his soul. Oh shit! He did not know what would happen, and the idea of being left without a proper suit of armor was more than slightly disturbing, but, to tell the truth, Sonny was extremely curious to see what would happen. Soon he'd be staring at a string of shimmering runes. Bind a relic? He hesitated for a moment, sighed, and then whispered quietly. Yes. Sonny had dismissed the mantle just in case, and was now wearing a soft fabric of the puppeteer's shroud. For that moment, he did not see any changes immediately. For a few seconds, nothing happened, and then the voice of the spell spoke. It said, "Your memory has been destroyed." What the fuck? What the fuck? Unless it's going to be a solo leveling thing where his body is now the armor, I don't know how this is beneficial. Sonny's eye widened. What? He flinched, almost hitting his head on the roof of the niche. His heart skipped a bit. What the hell? What do you mean? And then the voice of the spell resounded again. You have received an attribute. At the same time, Sonny felt a profound but unexplainable change. The change seemed to affect both his body and his soul. It was not painful, but it did not seem harmful. Just very, very strange. It was as if his skin turned to stone, but also remained exactly the same. Ah, okay. At the same time, he felt as if the enchantment of the mantle of the underworld were at his fingertips, even though the onyx armor was not summoned, and in fact had been destroyed. Huh? Sonny remained motionless for a while, trying to understand what had just happened to him. Then, unable to find the answers, he turned his attention to the shimmering runes. In the list of his memories, there was no mantle of the underworld anymore. However, he possessed a new attribute. Holding his breath, Sonny read, Fated, Flame of Divinity, Master of Shadows, Blood Weave, Bone Weave, and then there was a new string of runes paired to the end. Marble Shell. Ooh. Last chapter of today, ladies and gentlemen. 975, a nice clean 15 chapters in an hour and a half. Tap water is legendary if your tap water comes from the same place. Like, my tap water comes from Wales, so my water's very fucking good. Anyway, last chapter of today. This should be interesting, since this seems fascinating. Did I update it? Yeah, I did. Marble Shell. Sonny stared at the runes with a thoughtful expression on his face, then concentrated on them. Immediately, the new strings appeared in the air, forming a description. Marble Shell. Attribute description. In the deep darkness of the underworld, a prideful demon forged 7 suits of splendid armor for his favorite creations. The intricate shells were both a boon and a test, since only those worthy of his regard could unlock the mantle's true power and bear its weight. There were more runes, but Sonny stopped to think about it. Favorite creations? Yeah, no, okay, we're going into lore territory here. What? You're gonna die. They joked that I had diabetes. You're going to explode. Wait, what? I hate my tap water. I always leave it in the refrigerator for a day so it doesn't taste bad. Then buy a filtration system? It'd stop it tasting like shit. I can guarantee you that. The amount of desire to throw up is crazy. Maybe that's what you get for drinking fucking 7 cups of Ribena, dude. I remember why I don't like water. Makes me want to throw up after the 6th sip. I'm gonna start calling you Asmongold. Do you want that? Do you want to be called Asmongold? I don't think you do. He knew that Saints and her kind were an artificial race created by Never, the ruler of the underworld and the demon of choice, or destiny, depending on how one decides to translate the runes. He also knew that Saint's armor bore a strong resemblance to the mantle of the underworld, although it was not quite as impressive. The original Stone Saint had been one of the smallest and weakest living statues that dwelled in the Dark City. By the time Sunny had reached the place of the battle against the fallen attackers, the bigger and more powerful warriors of her kind had already destroyed, leaving her alone, an awakened monster to finish the fight. What he got from all that was that Saint had been a foot soldier in Never's army, most likely. The armor she wore was a true masterpiece of craftsmanship, but not something on the level of the 7 mantles, which had been gifted to the high-ranking officers of the Stone Legion by the Prince of the Underworld. Gods, if Saint was just a foot soldier, then just how terrifying was Never's army. I imagine actually fucking horrific. Cause Saint is a demon. Saint's a demon of demons. What about carbonated water? Are you good? Are you okay? Sparkling water should be destroyed. Amen. First cup done. Fucking way! Good job, finally. Well, they would have to be pretty terrifying in order to challenge the gods. Stone Saint had just killed the desolate plaza of the Dark City, was a pale remnant of her original self. As well, since the living statues had not been consumed by corruption yet during the war between the Diamonds and the Gods. Shaking his head, Sonny turned his attention back to the ruins. The description of the marble shell was a bit unusual since it included much more information about the other attributes. He continued to read. Living stone, feather of truth, steward, underworld armament, mantle, shell, bound. The first 4 were just like the armament of the old mantle, with the exception of steward. Their extremely high protection against physical attacks and the high protection against elemental attacks remained the same, but the moderate protection against the mind and soul attacks had been elevated to high protection as well. Okay, that's very good. The defensive trait of the shell was passive, but the other 3 traits required essence to function. From now on, Sonny would have had to circulate it through his own body in certain ways, instead of pouring it into the memory to activate the effect. That was a bit weird. Luckily, he seemed to possess an instinctive understanding on how essence had to circulate exactly, and his control over it was intricate enough to achieve the desired result. The other 3 traits, however, were extremely interesting. The mantle and shell were connected, and in fact mutually exclusive. That was because they were not really traits, but more forms that his new attribute could assume. Shell was a dormant form, while mantle was an active form. As the shell, the armor existed under his skin, or rather, his skin. Basically, it provided the benefit of the mantle of the underworld, including access to its enchantments, albeit in a muted and somewhat weakened form. Sonny dismissed the puppet tried to stare at his arming incandescently. Shoot it. Fuck off. Okay. My days. His skin looked pretty much the same, but somehow even paler and smoother. Great, as if I wasn't called a creepy porcelain doll often enough already. He sighed and then jabbed his arm with his finger. That was something strange. His skin remained soft and elastic, but it was sufficiently pleasant. It was a sufficient pressure was applied, but suddenly became hard as stone. Basically, it was becoming rigid and then stuck. After a few experiments, which must have looked really weird from the side, he determined that he could control the process consciously too. That's neat. So always have a passive resistance to all kind of damage. I'll be able to repair damage to my skin with the living stone as well, although it won't help me against internal injuries. He activated Feather of Truth and felt his fist become much, much heavier, then his entire body extremely light. Ah, this feels weird. Sonny did not exactly start to float, but he could potentially jump extremely high or hit really hard with the help of the new ability. The applications were nearly endless. A silly smile appeared on his face. I can always enhance the effect of a single charm as well. Better yet, the augmenting his body with his shadows. He would be augmenting Shell too, considering that it was a part of him. That, in fact, that was the real benefit of the binding armor. Sonny's eyes widened. Wait a second. Had he not dismissed the puppet shroud to take a look at his skin, which meant he could benefit from the defensive qualities of the shell and summon the armor type memory on top of that, using both to protect himself at the same time? Damn, that was simply incredible. That is strong. Wow. The fucking hell, that is a strong attribute increase. Sonny, by himself, with his raw skin, and obviously being amplified by 4 different shadows, was it 4 or was it 2? Regardless, was able to punch, like, the Capris of a giant large insect, like, to smithereens. Now he can bear the weight on top of that, plus whatever memory he augments himself with now, or whatever, charm, plus his shadows. Fuck, Jesus Christ, he's a walking tank. Jump into the air and then just body slam the fuck out of anybody? That's a passive effect. Crazy. Yeah, no, that's insane. That's it. That's ludicrous. That's fucking silly. Sonny was consumed by excitement for several minutes, and then remembered that he had currently no powerful armor memories to speak of. Well, not that it mattered too much. He would find one eventually. Plus, the mantle trait of the marble shell as well. Its function was pretty simple. It activated the attribute, making it assume a form of a full suit of armor. Unlike memories, Sonny did not have to spend essence to summon a mantle, since it was simply a transformation of the shell. Similarly, the mantle was considered to be a part of his body, and so, augmenting one with the shadows would strengthen it in return. Jesus fucking Christ! What isn't Sonny? He's an assassin, he's a master swordsman, he's a master martial artist at this point when it comes to, like, military, or he can become a master martial artist thanks to Shadow Step. And now he's a fucking tank! What the fuck? A tank in the body of a little thief. I imagine that he's, imagine if he still had the immortal chain, he'd probably the reason why G3 destroyed it. Jesus fuck. That is ludicrous. In its active form, the attribute awakened its full power. The effect, Stalwart, I will never be able to pronounce that word correctly, Living Stone and Underworld Armament, and the Feather of Truth were not weakened anymore, reaching their full potential. Sadly, wearing another armor type on top of the mantle was out of the question. Still great. So Sonny had not really lost his armor, on the contrary, it became stronger, and then summoned its full glory at any moment. It was just that the mantle was now an innate part of him, as opposed to a memory. And finally, there was Bound. Trait. Its function was very simple. It bound the marble shell to Sonny's soul, which meant that one would grow alongside the other. Currently, the attribute was an ascended rank, just like Sonny. If Sonny became a saint, the marble shell would become transcendent too. Oh, Jesus. Oh my days, what? Laying in a sleeping niche and feeling the rhino vibrate around him, Sonny closed his eyes and let out a satisfied sigh. 6,000 kills. That's ridiculous. That's... What the fuck? Jesus fucking Christ, that is the stupidest upgrade I've ever seen in my life. Wow. Wow. That is the single stupidest fucking thing, probably next to Shadow Dance. Next to Shadow Dance, that's probably the single most broken fucking thing Sonny has right now. Holy shit. The water sickness has kind of vanished by now. About time. Holy fuck. Those were great chapters. Those were great. Fun little action scene. A whole platoon of people. The army got upgraded. Sonny got a mega fucking upgrade. He finally got something to use when he's in water. And now his arguably strongest armor is just on him at all fucking times. Well, now his strongest armor is just on him at all times. And it can evolve with him. Oh my days. What the fuck? Yo, Faded is gonna come in like a fucking nuclear bomb in a minute, dude. Holy shit. What about the mask? Oh yeah, to be fair. Yeah, no, the mask is like a divine fucking armor. I forgot about that. Is the mask an armor? Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, no, what else would it be? It's not a weapon, nor it's a charm. But Jesus, wow. Those were good. Those were great chapters, actually. I'm going to carry on reading in my spare time now. I'll probably get to 985. So when we do the next Shadow Slave stream, that... Probably not even... Yeah, 985. And then we will just go... Full on, fuck it. We will just go straight to 1000 from that point. Just make it a long day. A long day and a long stream. Isn't it an accessory? I think it might be. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't want to Google it just in case, but yeah. Fated, you got a buff? Yo, don't worry, test that shit in an unholy titan. The lantern and the mask are tool. The lantern and mask are tools. The lantern is a tool and the mask is an... You know what, whatever. Anyway, like the stream and subscribe if you're new. Just in case. This was great. This was a fun time. Holy fuck. Oh, hi, Orofi. I didn't even fucking see you there. Nope, just teched. The mask. The lantern is a tool. The mask... Wait, what? Okay. Anyway, we'll be off. Bye-bye. Get out, then. Out. Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Like and subscribe, don't forget. Oh, I'm tired. I'm gassed.